All right, we'd like to call this meeting into order. Um, Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. As a reminder, please make sure that you silence your cell phones so it's not a distraction as we're having our meeting. And at this time, I have asked Mr. Brady if he would please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Oh, I forgot the adoption of the agenda. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance first. It's this way. There, it's right there. Yep. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I was just really anxious to do the pledge today. I was really excited. Yeah. Yeah. All right. We will proceed with our adoption of the agenda. If I could take a motion from someone on the board.
I'll make a motion for a flexible agenda.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Ms. Miller and a second by Ms. Knighting. Any discussion? All right, we'll open it up for public comment at this time. Seeing as there is none, we will close it. It would only be on the adoption of the agenda. Okay, thank you. All right, so no other public comment? All right, then we will close public comment. And bring it back to the board for a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, we are going to take things a little bit out of order today. We are going to jump to agenda item number 9, our presentation. If our presenters would like to come up. And Mr. Rex. Okay, this is great. Feel this. I know, I'm just saying, it's gritty. Yeah.
So if it's all right, I'll just give a quick introduction to the Verkada team. But anyways, or actually I'll let them introduce themselves, but maybe an introduction to the project. But well, it's been a privilege to be here in Douglas County, I think for 8 months now. One of the very early conversations that I had with our superintendent, he had challenged me to really look at student safety and security and those kind of challenges and needs that we had in the district. So we worked hard. We started really back, I would say early October, evaluating options, evaluating what we had, working with our SROs really closely to kind of understand from their perspective and our principals what their needs were. And through that process, worked with really 2 different companies, but really settled in on Verkada as being just a great option. And as I think I've shared with this group before, as I approach projects, I feel that our students, our staff deserve the very best that we can do and what we can bring to the table as long as it meets regulatory and financial and all those good things. So I'm really proud of what we're proposing tonight. And it's not for approval tonight. This is just for information, but it's a proposal that does and I'll let them go with the details. But what it does is in big picture is brings us cloud-based camera coverage to our entire district. Every building that we have brings license plate cameras to all of our entrances to our facilities, integrates our vape sensors across the district, gives us some alarm type features, and probably most important, and this is the thing that Superintendent Alvarado had challenged me on, is we really have a need to integrate our security systems with our SROs, with our first responders, with the County 911 Center, and this does that also. So anyways, that's kind of all I have in brief, and these guys have been awesome. We could almost make them Douglas County residents because Christina's probably been here 15 times in the last 8 months, and these 2 guys have been awesome. They've been here 5 or 6 times. So they're a great team. We actually have existing Verkada cameras, and I'll let Christina talk to you about those. But anyways, I'm just really excited tonight, appreciative of our superintendent giving us the opportunity to kind of make this proposal.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for having us all here today. We really appreciate it. First, I want to say thank you before I get started with any presentations, but there's one gentleman that's missing, which is Dennis. But Jared, Jesse, and Dennis have been amazing in this entire project and helping us scope everything out. Dennis and Jesse, all three of them actually walked us through all of your campuses. We've been here, we scoped everything out. We met with principals, with different staff members, and we've learned each challenge that each site was facing. And based on those challenges, we've scoped out this project and we've put together a proposal. So just wanted to say a big thank you to all of them. And then aside from all of that, want to say a big thank you to Jared. He's worked extremely closely with our team. He truly cares about this district, and you guys should be so thankful to have him because he's truly done so much to, one, not just get the best products for you, but the best pricing, like to the point where we had to go to our executive team for approvals. And that's not really heard of. And I'm not joking. Like, I'm being 100% serious. I was up in the executive chairs team trying to get approvals for everything. And all because he actually wants, like, truly what's best for you all in terms of price, in terms of everything else. So I just wanted to say thank you to that. From here, I'll go ahead and begin. So I'll do a quick intro on this slide, and I believe you guys have all received them. They're going to be a little out of order because I'll go between our command, which is our demo environment, and then this. But just to kind of start everything off, I'll start on this page right here. So this is just a brief intro of who we are. So my name is Christina. I've been with Verkada for quite some time now, and I specifically work in Nevada, and I cover the education government accounts, so cities, counties, and schools. Casey is a sales manager that covers a couple different reps actually. So he focuses on Washington, Nevada, and a couple other places, but he just wants to make sure that everything aligns with everything that we're selling, everything we're doing. And then Milo here, he's our solutions engineer, knows Verkada like the back of his hand. So any technical questions, he will definitely be able to cover those. And then the last person you see, couldn't find a good picture of him, but so I put his company logo on there, but that is Norbrid. So Verkada is a manufacturer, so we produce the product and we work with resellers to go ahead and sell the product to you all. So Norbrid has a company, which is Trebron. And honestly, this was all possible because of the way that Norbrid is able to structure everything for us. So Norbrid has been a longtime Verkada partner now. He primarily works in the PNW in Nevada and also works with a lot of education and cities. So he's well aware of the budgets you guys have. He's well aware of all the policies and all of that. So based on that, he was able to structure everything in the most perfect way that we could find. Any questions so far? Cool. Thank you. So from here, I just want to jump into a brief overview of Verkada. Right here, you see a building, and this is just the line of products that we have. So on this corner, you'll see a thing that's called Command. So this is what we'll be viewing today in about a minute, where you'll be able to view all the product lines that we have. So from cameras, which are highlighted in yellow, to intercoms and air quality sensors, that's kind of the main project we're scoping out today. But I also wanted to let you know that eventually we could scale into other things. So Verkada has stuff like access control that allows badging in and out and doing lockdowns during emergencies. We have alarms, panic buttons, guest, which allows you to do a quick background check, for example, maybe on myself or Milo, to see if maybe we're in a national criminal database. And that comes back in seconds. And then we have our gateways, which allow for hard to reach areas, harder deployments. We initially were thinking of putting a gateway in that little area, but you guys actually had internet over there. So we decided not to. But just a quick intro of Verkada and everything it does. So think of building physical security. We'll be able to cover that. Any questions? Cool. So from here, I'll go ahead and jump into the actual demo. But before I do that, just want to kind of give you a quick intro of how we got here, and Jared touched on it. So about a year ago, your nutrition department, Jordana, was looking for a couple environmental sensors for your freezers and fridges in the school. I was there with my cookies at the perfect time. So we did a product demo, and they seemed to like the product. It worked out well for them. And we ended up deploying it throughout the campuses. So you guys actually already have Verkada in in all of your campuses, but primarily in like the kitchen area. You have the context camera and you have the environmental sensors. I've met with Jordana multiple times after that, and we've heard great feedback about everything they've been utilizing. So we're just excited to build on that and show you how we can expand this throughout the entire district. Cool. And from here, I'll go ahead and swap my screens. Just make sure I'm still connected. We did hear about your guys' internet trouble, so give us a moment. Okay. So what you're looking at is Verkada Command. So as I mentioned earlier, this is where you have access to the entire platform and everything that we do. Before I jump into actual command and show you demos, I do want to address something that's important to a lot of people, and that's security, and literally security of in terms of like who has access to this, who's able to view this, how, like at the end of the day, these are people that you're looking at, these are faces. So what I want to mention is that all of the access is completely in your hands. You're able to modify things exactly how you want to do it. You're able to set permissions, give permissions to whatever people that you'd like. One person maybe is able to see a camera when the other person cannot see that camera. So everything is in your hands, and you're able to navigate however is best for your district. Now, the good thing about this is you're also able to share access with people like law enforcement. So a lot of schools these days like to actually provide specific access to law enforcement agencies. And what they end up doing is they either share perimeters of specific campuses or all campuses, or you can give them access to every single camera, totally whatever the principal is comfortable with or the district is comfortable with. But you could go about it in any way. That way, if there is ever an emergency, law enforcement has full access to everything. They're able to see exactly what's happening. There's no delay in anything. But that is totally all in your hands, and you could do that with whoever you want. And if you have any questions throughout any of this, feel free to interrupt me at any point. So from here, I'll go ahead and really briefly talk about our support and our warranty. So I know I just introduced all of us as your support people. However, realistically, we're not available 24/7. So if ever you guys have any questions, Verkada actually prides themselves on our support. So if you click right here in help and you click contact us, you're able to chat to a live agent that's based out here in the US, and they're available 24/7 for you. They'll respond within 30 seconds. You can also give them a call if you want. And then if you don't feel like talking to a person and maybe you have a quick question, you can actually go ahead and ask our AI bot right here, and they'll be able to give you step by step of anything that you want to do. So that's our support. In terms of things potentially not working, or maybe a camera or sensor goes down, we aligned a 7-year warranty with your guys' licensing term that we're proposing here today. So the products would be covered for that entire term. And if anything ever goes wrong, it's expedited next day, free of charge. Cool. Okay. And then from here, I'll go into the fun stuff. So if we go into our map section right here, Verkada has a bunch of offices similar to how you all have a bunch of different campuses. They're all over the place. They're kind of scattered everywhere. So the one thing that you want to do is a platform that's easily accessible. You're able to see everything all at once when needed. And it's just right here. So as you can see, I'll go ahead and zoom in into California because that's where we're headquartered, and that's our demo environment. And we see all of the offices that we have. We see multiple locations. And right now we see a bunch of different cameras that are green. So the cool thing about this is that a lot of times I hear from teachers, principals, that if an event ever happens at school, say a kid got into a fight, whatever it is, and they have to pull up footage, a lot of times they don't even realize, but the footage was never recorded because the camera was just offline. What's great about this is if a camera ever does go offline, you'll actually get notified and you'll know, and this icon will turn orange. So this would allow you to not miss any important events or things that you need to track and investigate. From here, I'll go ahead and click on our HQ floor plan. So we'll be able to do this for all of your campuses, but after the installation, you would upload a floor plan and we would place icons of everywhere where there are cameras. Now, what's cool about this is you can actually hover over each icon and it'll show you the view of that specific camera. So if you want to see something in a particular hallway, if you want to see what's happening in the gym, you can actually just hover over the camera and it'll show you exactly what's happening over there. What's even cooler is, hypothetically, say you don't want to give law enforcement access for whatever reason, you can actually share this entire floor plan with them if there is ever an emergency. Now, because this is a demo environment, I can't share the entire floor plan with you, but I can share a singular camera. So if anybody's brave enough to share their cell phone number, I can show you how easy it is. Anybody? Give me, oops, one moment. Go ahead. Aid. Oops. So what I'll do here is just show you how easy it is to share footage. So you could do it via email as well, but phone seems a little cooler. I'll give you all access. So I'll give you access to all video and features, and then I'll give you access for 7 days instead of 7 hours. Now, keep in mind, I can always revoke this access. So for some reason, I'm like, oh, maybe you should no longer have it. I can always take it back. And then I'll go ahead and send you the link. And then you'll see how easy it is, one, for me to send it, and two, for you to actually view it. And let us know once you actually get it, but you'll realize that you don't need an app, you don't need to download anything, you don't need to use a specific browser. You could just click on it and it'll open up and he'll be able to have access to everything. Now you can track us and see when we're in office. Might take a second. I heard cellular is a little. Are you able to see the footage? And now what's going to be even cooler, and I'm happy to share this with anybody after, but everything that we're about to go through today, in terms of searching functions, you're going to be able to do on that phone later on tonight. So if you guys want to play around with them, happy to share it with whoever wants to, and you guys can just kind of explore yourself. But from here, I'll go ahead and jump into a couple scenarios that we might potentially experience in schools and how we would utilize the platform. So let's assume this door right here was vandalized by a student. We don't necessarily know when it was vandalized. We just know we came in the morning, the door was vandalized. It happened sometime over the weekend. So what we could do is we could search traditional ways, which is historic footage. So right here, we'll just click history and we'll scroll down and we'll be able to just scrub through footage. We make it a little bit easier by adding binding boxes for people and blue for people and yellow for vehicles, just to help you search. However, sometimes this is not the most efficient way. So let's say we go back to this door and we know this specific door was vandalized, but it's located in an area where there's a lot of foot traffic every time. There's a lot of things that are happening. So scrubbing through footage would just be too long and impossible. So what we can do is we can go ahead and click on motion. We can highlight this door only. And then what's going to happen is the platform is going to filter just people that have passed by this door or went into the door or outside of the door. But it just allows you to filter not just through people that are maybe on the sidewalk, but actually the ones that have approached this door where the problem area is. And then it'll show you the trajectory that they took so you can go ahead and follow them if you do find a problem person. From here, I'll show you how the system gets a little more powerful. So we'll go ahead and jump into analytics. So let's say there was a student that was maybe bullying another student or something. We don't really know who the student is. We just know that they were wearing specific colors. Maybe another student told you, hey, it was a boy and he was wearing a red shirt and blue jeans. What we could do is we can click right here, click on male, and then we'll click upper body. He was wearing a red shirt. And then we'll click lower body and we'll do blue jeans. So this will show you people that were wearing those specific colors, and it'll help you narrow down the person that was bullying the other kid. Now, this is where we get even more powerful. So let's assume that we know exactly who did this, and we'll use myself as an example. And we have their yearbook picture. We actually have a school down in Vegas that constantly shares the story with everybody that we ever go with. But they had a parent that dropped off a student right at the front. The student didn't show up to first period or anything. They just went missing. The school called the parent. Parent was like, it's impossible, dropped off the kid right there. So what the principal did is he uploaded a picture of that student, which I'll do right now. So I'll go ahead and use my own photo. And then what that did is it went through all of the cameras and located where the student has been throughout time. So right here, you'd be able to see that I'm going to pop up in our office at specific areas. And I'll search all of the cameras, and there I am. This will help you narrow down exactly where the student is, where they've been. In this case, in our situation, the principal was able to call the parents and tell them, hey, the kid actually jumped over the fence in the back, and he left the property. So he was no longer on campus, literally 10 minutes after she dropped him off. So they really like to share the story. From here, what I want to point out is So a lot of times schools have certain policies or requirements where you're supposed to post sex offenders pictures in your hallways or in your offices, right? So let's assume and let's assume I'm that person. So what you could do is you can actually make me a person of interest, because instead of just having those posters just be in your office and hanging there and you actually have to look for them, the people, what you could do is you can put alerts onto them. So you can go ahead and label me whatever I am. You can put a reason behind it, and you can set those notifications to go to your SROs, your law enforcement, your principals, whoever you wanted. So if for some reason a camera ever picks up that person on the property, you'll get notified. And from here, I'll go ahead and go back. So here, I'll go ahead and jump into a different scenario just to show you the power of the platform. So let's assume that on April 1st, somewhere between 8:40 a.m. to like 8:50 a.m., teacher told us that a student stole a cart and it's missing and it had a ladder on it and it's expensive product and we don't know where it is. So from here, what we can do is we'll go into that camera because we know that the teacher's classroom was somewhere in this area. We'll click on the historic footage. We'll go ahead right here into our history. We'll select April 1st. And we'll go ahead and go into our time frame, which we know it was somewhere between 8:40. So right here, we'll be able to see binding boxes for people. So we see there was a person right here. So we can take a look and see what he's doing. Looks like just a kid walking by with his water bottle. Not too big of a deal. We see there was an event right here. Looks like a kid also just walking by with his laptop. And then one more event right here. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that. And looks like it's just a kid. Oh, there goes the ladder and the cart. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and pause this. And we want to see where these kids are going. So we'll go ahead and highlight this person. We'll click on him. And we want to see exactly what happened in terms of timeline and where they've popped up on cameras. So we'll go ahead and 3x this just so we can watch the entire story and not spend 20 minutes on it. And we'll go ahead and play it. And we see that it looks like it's two kids. They're definitely messing with a card. They're going in somewhere. They're going to come out. Oh, they're on the move. They jump to a different camera. They're going outside. And they just left our property. Now we know where the card has gone. We know where the students are. We can archive the footage. We can send it to our family member or their family members, maybe show it to their parents and explain like, hey, this is actually what happened. Maybe we should take appropriate action for this. So this is the power of the platform. Right here, I'm going to jump into cars and vehicles. So when we were scoping out this entire project, Jared and the team were very persistent about vehicles and license plates. And the reason is there's a lot of issues sometimes with specific vehicles. Sometimes you want to see certain plates. Maybe there's people that go, I don't know, they go surround the campus or whatever it is. They sit there. Like you want to know who's around your campus. So everything we just did with people, we could do with vehicles. So hypothetically, say there's a white truck that we're looking for. We can select white and we can select truck, and the cameras will show us all the white trucks in the area. Now, Nevada has a ton of white trucks, and I learned that. So what if instead of searching for a white truck, we'll go ahead and we know like, hey, there's been a car that's just been sitting there every single day at 3 o'clock. We don't know who they are. We don't feel comfortable approaching them. So we can go ahead and click on license plates, and that car will actually be tracked. As you can see right here, it'll tell you exactly how often a specific license plate was seen, where it was seen. And then what you can do is click on the license plate, and same thing like we just did with myself as a person of interest, you can label this vehicle as a person of interest or a vehicle of interest, and you'll get notified when this vehicle is on site, and maybe you can take appropriate action at that time. This is one of the last things about cameras. I do want to point out two more things, and then we'll go ahead and move on. So from here, you see this thing called grids. So I've seen a lot of schools use this. A lot of times schools have SROs and a lot of campuses, but I'm assuming the ratio is probably not equal. There's probably less SROs than there are campuses. So obviously they can't be at the same place all at once. So a lot of times what people do is they pass out iPads to the SROs and they allow them to create grids like this. and they can put in whatever grid they want. They can add on whatever cameras, they can go ahead and swipe. So if an SRO is here, for example, this high school, but something is actually happening in the elementary school, they'll be able to see it on their iPad, and then they'll be able to take appropriate action or dispatch the police, whatever it is. But this is a common thing that we see in schools, and it's an option for you all as well. And then from here, just gonna take a look at my notes really quickly. From here, that was pretty much all cameras and everything. I do want to go ahead and jump into one last feature, which is our AI function that we just recently released. So this allows you to search for actual sentences. So for example, let's go and search for a person crossing their hands. And then I typed in an actual sentence, and the cameras will spit out footage of people crossing their hands. Now, what's cool about this is you can actually create alerts. So for example, in my situation, I get mail stolen, like I don't know, I never see my mail unless it's shipped somewhere else. So what I could do is I could create an alert anytime I see a UPS truck or a FedEx truck, and I'll get notified. And if the camera sees it, I know that my package is coming. So in your case, it could be a similar situation. Maybe you want to get notified anytime there's a delivery driver or something, then you'll get notified and you'll be able to see right here exactly what's happening. So this is the last thing on cameras. Any questions? No. This was the last thing on.
Mr. Brady has a question.
Yes.
Who handles the storage and what are the loops on these cameras?
Of course. Milo, would you like to?
Yeah, sorry, what was the second?
We
What
can-
was the second part of the question? Oh yeah, so all these cameras were recording 24/7. And then in terms of storage, it's all stored. So it's a hybrid cloud model. So that means that there's storage on the camera itself on an SD card, and you can back up that footage to the cloud as well. So the cloud's almost a redundancy piece where, let's say for any reason a camera goes offline and you want to view footage historically on that camera, it'll actually then just pull the feed directly from the cloud. So essentially there's a ton of insurance in terms of in terms of always being able to view your footage 24/7. Yep.
Mr. Zinke.
I noticed here on the bottom left, there's a battery that says 92%. Is that an actual battery? Is it hardwired?
Yeah.
Do we have an issue with that in our
No.
schools? And
So this is a remote camera, actually. It's one of our new deployments. Remote in terms of it uses solar as a battery, and you can deploy it like in the middle of nowhere. So it's a remote camera. That's why you see a battery portion of it. It's just showing you what the solar power on the battery is. So just one specific case.
Yeah.
Okay.
All the Verkada cameras, it's just one Ethernet wire run. So it's just all that does is it receives power and internet, and that's all it takes to then push out the feed to what we're seeing here, which is Verkada Command. So a typical legacy camera system, you have a ton of cameras, they all feed back to an NVR or a DVR, and that's just a lot of IT overhead. If that NVR goes down, you lose all your footage. The nice thing about the Verkada system is, again, it's just that one wired connection, and it's just pushing all data out to the internet, and then now that's how we're able to see it here. So yeah.
And then with regards to the cloud, are there future subscription fees for that service?
So everything you see here, so we work with a cloud provider, AWS, and when you make a purchase with Verkada, there's no additional cost, whether that's support or features. We actually all push that over the air. Hence the cloud model is very powerful, is we can actually push firmware updates over the air, right? So again, typical system, you have a camera, it spins up like a web server, and you have to have someone manually go in and update the firmware. That being said, it's a common like hack point, etc. Verkada all protects that. It's all over the air and everything's encrypted, both on the device and at rest. And in terms of like the cloud service, that's just natively built into this system. That's like how we built our entire system from the ground up. We have the hardware, the software, and the storage in the cloud, and that's all brought into one.
Ms. Miller.
So I think I want to piggyback on Mr. Brady's question. How long is it kept for? Because I know in the past it was like 30 days and you had to change out a tape, like going back to, 90s kind of software where it's like every 30 days you reused, it's okay, today's the 9th, you're going back and using the 9th, so you're overriding what was there 30 days ago. Is this system doing that, or is it just kept indefinitely and it's just then becoming a bigger and bigger database?
That's a good question. So from the camera piece, there is retention that we can essentially decide. So let's say we scope a 30-day retention locally on that camera, it will have 30 days of retention, and then on day 31, that footage will technically overwrite the first day. That being said, though, for any incidents, events that you want to archive, so let's say like save in your cloud environment, that will actually be stored indefinitely. So imagine any of the cases where Christina mentioned, like a student leaving or some type of, event with someone you don't want on campus. What you can do is actually archive that footage and save it indefinitely in your cloud environment, and that will stay forever. There's no overwriting of that data, anything like that. And again, kind of what I was mentioning about AWS and the storage with that, there's no issues, there's no additional cost. Like let's say you archive all these clips that you see here. Verkada is not going to charge you for any of that. So let's say you have 100 incidents across your 16 schools in a 1 year time frame and you want to archive all that footage, you can save that indefinitely. You don't have to worry about incurring any costs based on that. And then additionally, on top of all that, we also have something called cloud backup. So again, like as I was mentioning, it's kind of an insurance policy on top of that local storage, right? So let's say, and again, all these cameras actually come with 30 days of cloud backup. So let's say you have your local storage on the camera, and again, that camera for any reason goes offline, you'll then pull that footage directly from the cloud as well. So yeah, I guess for redundancy, archiving is kind of our best friend here, making sure we're never losing anything that's important to us.
And then one more question. Who has access to that archive information? What is your backup to, say, hackers, things like that? Because obviously everything being cloud-based on the internet, protection for our students, because we have students who aren't part of our social media. Their parents have opted out for pictures. So I just want to make sure that our students are protected.
Yeah. So the first part of that I'll answer, which is the access to the archive clips, right? So as Christina mentioned at the very beginning, everything on the Verkada side is very granular when it comes to permissioning, right? So let's say you have an individual where you want them to view live footage, but you don't want them to be able to see any of these archive clips. We'll give them live only viewer. They'll be able to see the live footage of the cameras and nothing else. So we can actually configure it so that only the people, the staff, etc., the security people who we want to be able to save, see, and share out this archive footage, those are the ones that have those permissions. So we really we base it off of a principle of least privilege. You're only given the permissions that you need to have. So it's very granular, and you can determine that however you guys want to set it up, who can actually see these archive feeds. The second piece was the security piece of things. So Verkada is, first of all, it's SOC type 2 compliant. That means it is industry, it matches industry compliance for data security. And what that means is a variety of things. Verkada does a variety of things from the data piece. So first of all, everything on the camera itself is encrypted, and as it's sending the feed up to the cloud, that in-transit data is encrypted, and then on the cloud, it's encrypted as well. This is all behind Amazon's key management system, which does the encryption, stores the encryption keys. And on top of that, we can also do something called ECE, which is enterprise controlled encryption. So I'm getting very in the weeds here. But essentially what this all means is that, let's say for any reason, there's a rogue Amazon employee, right? Because everything is encrypted on the cloud and it's only in your organization, even if he was a rogue employee and tried to access a server, he'd have no ability to see any of the feed, any of your data. It's all purely hidden behind this strong encryption layer. Secondly, let's say someone manages to get one of your cameras and tries to look into a camera. There's absolutely no way they can view that footage either, because all that data is encrypted as well. Then if they try to tap anything from the camera to the cloud, that's also encrypted. So there's no way to actually view any of that data. Think of Verkada almost as a steward of your data. It's your data. You control everything. You control the permissioning. The only way in which Verkada would ever be able to see anything we're looking at now is if you provide us an explicit support token in which we can go into your environment and help support or troubleshoot any issues you're having. That being said, that support token is actually temporary. So let's say you reach out to me and you say, hey, one of our cameras is looking fuzzy or it went down. We need some help. You'll give me like 2 hours of access on call with you. I'll help troubleshoot, and then you can revoke that access at any time. So data is very important to us, of course, and you control everything on that side of things.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so from here, I'll go ahead and go back into our deck. I know somebody earlier mentioned, I actually was going to talk about it, but with everything, I missed it a little bit. But you mentioned faces, and faces are very important. So we actually do offer face blurring, whether it's live face blurring or when you actually archive the footage. And you can see it right here. I just live blurred faces. Or when you archive the footage, say there was a fight and you want to show parents what happened or who was involved and you want to block off all other faces, you have the option to selectively select those faces. So just so you guys know, that is an option and it is available to you all.
And then jumping in really quickly on that, from the analytics standpoint and from the privacy standpoint as well, which is obviously very important, all these people analytics, facial recognition, all of that is by default actually not on the system. So we actually make it so that the users actually need to actively enable this so that they're like granting permission to have people analytics, facial recognition, etc. And let's say there is a specific camera where you don't want faces to get recognized, you can actually you can keep that disabled. So yeah, and like let's say there is a concerned parent or something like that, we can make sure it's disabled, or for that specific student, their face will be blurred out, making sure we're upholding that as well.
Yeah. Any other questions? No? Okay. So temporarily I went back into the deck. So on this slide, I'll go ahead and move on to a different product that we're exploring, and that is the Verkada Intercom. So the one you see right here is actually the intercom that we are exploring to put into your guys' schools. Now, what an intercom is, it's essentially a single door controller that has a video camera that has all the exact qualities that we just discussed. So you're able to do all the search functions, you're able to view historic footage, all of that. And then it also allows you to have a two-way conversation with people at the front door. So what ends up happening a lot of times is I go into schools and I press the intercom and nobody really talks to me. They just kind of unlock the door. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I go in, but what if I'm actually a bad person? What if I shouldn't be in your school? So what this would allow you to do, and I'll show you on the demo side of how this would look, is it would allow me to come in, press a button. It would ring whoever is at the front door, or I'm sorry, front desk. That person has the ability to see who I am. They can press a button, have a two-way conversation with me, decide if they should let me in or not. All of that information is transcribed and stored into on the history. So you'll be able to go back. If a principal ever wants to go back and see why a certain person was let in, they'll be able to see that information. And then from there, you can make the decision to either let somebody in or not. Now, this is available. So if what's neat about this is that if, say, maybe you're a front desk representative and you're not there right now, you had to step away, and I'm a parent that immediately needs to pick up my kid, and I'm like buzzing you consistently and you're not there. So what you can do is you can create a workflow. So maybe if you don't answer within like 10 seconds, it can go ahead to Milo, and then Milo would be able to assist. And then if Milo isn't available, then it'll go to Casey, or it can ring all three of you at the same time. You also don't have to be anywhere in the building. You could be somewhere in Hawaii on vacation. Hopefully you don't have to do this, but letting people into schools. But my point is it's very flexible and it allows you to really control who goes in and out of the building. Now, right here, what you're seeing is the flexible call options. So you're able to either answer and let people in on your cellular device using the app. You can also do just like a regular phone call. So you'll press like 9 to let people in, 1 to decline. And then we also have an option to do it on your command. So that's the platform that I showed you. And a lot of times, front desk staff already have their computer on. They'll already have command on. So it'll just pop up, and they can go from there. And then right here, it just shows you what I just talked about. It's easily cloud managed. You can add multiple users. You can have different users only have specific permissions to unlock those doors. Again, just going back into very granular settings. From here, I'll go ahead and go into the actual demo. So as you can see, if I ever do need to go from cameras to intercoms, all I have to do is just go into here, click on intercoms, and I am in our intercom environment. So for this purpose, I'll go ahead and use this camera right here. So this is our outside camera where our earlier students escaped actually. But right here, you see this view, this first picture right here. This is actually what you see from the intercom. So this is the camera from the intercom. It's a pretty wide angle. It covers everything. Right here, you see that I have an ability to unlock the door through the computer. So I can press this button, I can unlock the door, I can press right here and actually have a full conversation with the person. What's also nice is I can create temporary passes or I can set schedules. So for example, I'll go ahead and jump into here. Apologies. What I can do is set different schedules. So in our case, in our scenario for our work environment, our doors are access controlled 24/7. In your case, they might not need to be controlled 24/7. Maybe you only want doors access controlled between the hours of 7 to 5. Or they can be controlled 24/7, but maybe only you have access to it as a superintendent, and maybe the teachers only have access between the hours of 7 to 5. So everything is very customizable. You can also allow certain people in on specific days. So maybe cleaning crew only has access Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And a lot of times I notice cleaning crews come in at night. So maybe they come in at like 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. That's when they have access. So everything is very customizable and just allows you to keep track of who goes in and out of your buildings. And then right here, I'll just show you quickly events. So this is what it would look like. So right here, it's a perfect example. Somebody rang the doorbell. We can see that it went to group 1, went to group 2, group 3, group 4, and then the call ended. Right here, you'd be able to see everything that happened throughout the day. If there's a missed call, if a person was admitted, who admitted them. And then what's nice is that a lot of times I notice that if school's closed, people want to get out of here. Like they don't want to sit here at the front desk and open because people always buzz in. You can actually set an away message. So if at 3:45 your school closes, you can you can set a message and it'll tell you, hey, the school's closed, please come back tomorrow. And you'll still see who pressed the button after those hours because it'll come up as a missed call. Any questions on the intercom? Okay. So from here, I'll jump into the slide deck one more time. And we'll go ahead and move on to environmental sensors. So this is how we initially got here, right? We did environmental sensors in our nutrition department. So we have a variety of different sensors. Some are meant to be put in server rooms. Some are meant to be put into freezers and fridges. And then our most popular one, and I hate to say it because it's a big problem nowadays, is sensors in restrooms because kids tend to smoke these days. So how this ends up working is this little box is placed in the bathroom, and then there's a context camera that's placed on the outside. So what ends up happening is if a kid goes into the restroom and they hit a vape, you'll get notified like this. So this is what an event would look like, and I'll show you in real time on the actual platform. But there was a kid inside, there was a trigger. We know that it was a vape. We see that a kid comes out. This is what you'll see visually, and it'll pop up on your phone like this. So you'll be able to see a little message. You can click on it. You'll be able to open it, and you'll be able to see exactly what's happening. I'll go ahead and exit out of this, and I'll show you how it works in our office. So again, simple, click on the 9 dots, go into air quality sensors. Right here, I'll go ahead and switch to our conference room. So these are all the readings that the sensors do. So they don't just measure vapes, they actually measure heat index, humidity. One really nice thing about this is they also measure noise levels. So I've heard some crazy stories of kids destroying bathrooms, which I still think is crazy to me, but apparently they do, and they throw stuff at like the ceilings, the walls, they break stuff. So you could set specific perimeters on the decibel levels for noise level. So if for some reason it goes higher than normal, you'll get notified and you'll know whether one, you need to go in because there's a fight or someone's breaking something, but regardless, you'll be aware of it and you'll need to go into the bathroom to check. Over here on the side, you'll see all of our events. So I'll go ahead and click on the vape index, and we'll go on what happened on March 27th. This is actually somebody on my team. So it looks like he went into the conference room. We see that there was a trigger. This is where we would get notified. And then you see he comes out. So this is essentially how it would work when there's a context camera and a vape sensor in the bathroom. And now we can go back, and I have one more footage on...
I have a question about air quality. So we have a tendency up here in Northern Nevada to have smoke. with fires. So there's things that we try to track with the air quality. Is that carbon monoxide, does that correlate to the smoke or is that completely different?
So are you talking more so like outside the building
So
or
so here's where we're a little bit interesting.
yeah.
Some of our schools obviously have AC, but
Yeah.
if the smoke index is too high, we have to close schools because it's unsafe air quality.
Mm-hmm.
The school you're sitting in does not have AC, so we open windows.
Mm-hmm.
So again, we have to monitor air quality when there's an active wildfire in our area.
I see.
So we utilize potentially a third party. I think there's there's a whole bunch of different ones that are out there that, once the smoke index hits a certain level, we have to cancel outside sports. We have to potentially cancel school depending on, we've had evacuations at this school, particularly in 21 with Caldor. We were all evacuated for probably about 10 days, I think was the longest that
Yeah.
people were evacuated for.
Right.
So I don't know if that air quality can help with that situation that we haven't had recently, but that we do know we live in.
Yeah. So I would say for that specifically, so these air quality sensors are primarily for indoor environments. That being said, if there was anything like carbon monoxide, we can pick up on that. Another common symptom of, let's say, gas or poor air quality is either air quality index, particulate matter, or TVOX, which these all have native sensors built into. So any spikes in those measures would probably give us an idea of some sort of um, you know, some sort of environment in which we may need to explore, shutting the school down, wherever the case may be. That being said, if it is more of like a outdoor sensor that we may be talking about, so let's say on a field or something like that, in that case, Verkada would most likely actually probably pair with a third-party sensor and try to ingest that data because these sensors again are more so indoor rated actually, and for a significant a significant event like this, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, I
Um,
was gonna say this is for indoor, but
So for indoor, and I will double check, but we do have a use case in Humboldt County in Northern California that is using our sensors for outdoor to detect smoke. Similar scenario, whether that level to close or to announce that school is closed or let people out early. So we'll go back and double check on that, but I believe Humboldt County does have that utilization right now.
Okay, thank you. It's just something we haven't had to deal with for 5 years, but that doesn't mean that it's unexpected. But if this can help us with potentially those situations, I think that might be something that we need to make sure we can utilize.
Yeah, we'll definitely double check, but I think Casey, you might be right. And I'm happy to send you some documents on that too. That is all I had for vape sensors. Did you guys have any other questions before we move on?
I have a question.
Of course.
How tamper-proof are the sensors? Because I don't put anything past high school or middle schoolers.
So we actually address that in two ways. So we actually have a specific mount for our sensor products specifically, where it's nearly impossible to actually rip it off. So it's a specific mount that we attach the sensor to, put it on the ceiling or wall, and it just makes the sensor so it's almost impossible to take off. So if a student's trying to like take it off and then vape or whatever the case may be, it'll be nearly impossible to do that. That being said, on top of that, kind of hardware piece, making sure it's stable, we actually have a vibration sensor built into the sensor itself, where if it does get tampered with, we can actually get a tamper alert. So if you actually scroll down, there should say tamper somewhere. Yeah, right there. You can see if someone actually tampers with the sensor, let's say it's trying to, rip it off or adjust it or anything like that, we can actually immediately get alerted as well, and then tie our context camera footage to that as well. Yep.
Thank you. Anything else? Yeah.
Does the sensor tell you what is in the vape? Does it alert if it's nicotine or THC?
Yeah, that's a good question. We were actually discussing that a little earlier, but the vape index is essentially a correlation between a variety of these onboard sensors, right? So it actually leverages the motion sensor for like making sure there's actually an individual present to justify a vape. It leverages the particulate matter, the TVOX. So it leverages that to build out what we at Verkada identify as a vape event. That being said, we can identify vape events, so nicotine, THC. We can also do like THC or just cigarette smoke. But as of right now, we can't specifically distinguish the difference between cigarette versus vape. It'll just trigger as the vape index threshold exceeding, but there's currently not an integration for saying whether it's cigarette or let's say THC. That being said, considering that, we are constantly innovating and pushing down firmware updates, I wouldn't be surprised if that was potentially pushed down. And if it was, as I mentioned before, that's all done automatically as well. But to answer your question, currently, no, we can't separate based on that.
You mentioned the interface with law enforcement. Does that include dispatch?
So in what way? Like giving them access? Yes. So you could create whatever site, you could create access to whichever groups that you want. So if you want to give dispatch access, you can. You could, there's a variety of different things you could do. Yeah. Yeah, everything is very granular. So you can customize the platform to your needs, to your liking. Okay. From here, I'll exit vapes. These are the 3 products that we were looking at today. I do want to briefly scroll over. I don't want to obviously keep you guys here for hours. I know this is a lot, but I'll just briefly tell you about some of the other products that we have. And the reason being is we started off with cameras, like Verkada as a company started off with just cameras. And over time, we've developed all of these products to build a perfect security for a building. And we continue to innovate and make more products. There's actually some cool things that are in the works that, people request, and Verkada listens to those people and they build based on that. So if your school district, hypothetically, there's like a need for something, and then there's another school district that has a need, Verkada will actually go ahead and look, and they'll start developing those products. That's how we came about all of these. So I just want to kind of give you an idea of what we currently have and explain that it's really easy to scale. Just like we started with the nutrition center and just sensors and cameras, okay, like throughout the, a couple fridges. It's extremely easy to scale now to cameras throughout everything. Maybe we started with intercoms, but eventually we can go into access control. For example, the beauty of access control, aside from like what the intercom does, it literally allows you to perform lockdowns if necessary. So in today's environment, sometimes there is a need for lockdowns. People do have situations where you need to lock down the entire school in seconds. And if you have access control through all of your exterior doors, we're not even talking about interior, let's just do exterior first. You're able to just, with a push of a button, lock down the entire building. And then you can give permissions to maybe the law enforcement or maybe the superintendent, and they'll be the only people that can unlock those doors after. So that's briefly talking about access control. And then we have our guest management. So for this, I'll go ahead and click on our slides one more time because it'll be easier to see. So what this does is, and I briefly touched on it in the beginning, so a lot of times when people come into schools, they just kind of sign a paper and I put my name when I came in and that's about it. What this allows you to do is a couple things. One, you can manage all visitors that go into your building. So maybe you have an iPad at the front that has custom settings just like these. And maybe I'm a visitor. I click on that and I have to answer a couple questions, show you my ID. Within seconds, you can take a picture of my ID, run a background check. It'll run it against the National Criminal Database, and it'll tell you if I'm, for whatever reason, I shouldn't be in your school. It'll tell you exactly what it is. You'll be able to decline entry. You'll be able to reach out to the law enforcement or maybe send them a notification. But also this integrates with your current platform that you use to manage your students. So for example, if you want to track tardies, if you want to track who picks up which kid, because they're the only ones that are allowed to pick them up due to custody battles, all of that you'll be able to do over here. And it'll just allow you to manage all of that. So on top of like managing who goes into your building, you're also able to see exactly who's been where, why they're here, because you can actually put questions. You can put open-ended questions. on a bunch of these things, but this is what it looks like. And you could also use it for things like events. Maybe today you wanted to see every single person that walked into this board meeting. You could have sent them a registration, they could have registered, and you would have seen exactly who attended. So just a brief intro of this. And then I'll just show you really quickly right here. So these are all the guests that have signed in to Verkada. And if I go ahead and scroll down, I can see that we have Raphael right here, and it looks like he was denied entry. If I click on him, I'll be able to see that he was denied entry. And if I click on system confirmed, I'll be able to see that this, in this case, is a sample. So it's a sample criminal database. We'll see exactly who the ID is, who the person is, the name, all of the information, and it'll tell us why they are in the criminal national database, sorry. And from there, you can take appropriate action. Now, you don't have to have background checks on. They could be for specific guests. If you don't want to know it all, you don't have to. It's just optional, but it's included in the platform. This is for guests. Any questions? We're not currently exploring this product, but just wanted to kind of introduce you to it. Yes.
Are we able to load our own information in there? So maybe our volunteer database or our staff database. So like
Yeah.
if staff check in and out, or if we have a volunteer checking in and out.
Definitely, yeah. So it's actually used for a lot of schools use it for volunteers, substitute teachers, temporary kind of contractors, employees that come in. They'll preload them. And then it doesn't always have to run it. So once you're preloaded, it doesn't have to run you against the database. It'll already know that you're in there because you're like on the approved list. But yeah, you could totally do that. Yeah. Any questions? Okay. Oh yeah.
So, obviously you have cameras, you have people coming in and out. Do we have to have signage for this? Like, I know, like, hey, we have active cameras, because I know with the Warrior Way parking, you know, we have a camera down there. There's a sign that says, hey, you're on camera.
I will pass this over to Jared. Or yeah, go first.
I didn't know. I figure, you know, we have this parking program down along Warrior Way. There's a sign that says, hey, you're on camera, you know, smile, that kind of thing. So I don't know if with this, then we would need signage at all of the locations. If this was something we were to go with, I just figured we need to ask those questions.
Well, yeah, if that is a decision that you know, you decide to keep consistent and have signage, what we do at Verkada as well is we can actually have all that done like on our side. So we can actually have something like a template for Verkada that addresses exactly what we're doing. So you don't need to go about and purchase new signs or whatever the case is. We can actually print it out on our side. But again, like the decision in terms of you guys going about that is more so on other teams.
Yeah.
This is Jesse. I'm gonna jump in real quick. We
Yeah,
do have cameras already at all these locations. There are some where we will be adding cameras. There is some signage. I know DHS has it. I don't know where all the signs are myself, but we already have cameras at these locations.
Thank you. I will say that for certain things like guests, if you want to notify people, like you want to give them like a warning, you can put stuff like that. But in terms of external signage, this is totally up to the district. Yeah. And your policies.
Our student, Ms. Jocelyn, has
Yes.
a question.
Hi.
Hi.
Are these okay? Are these going to be like outside? Like, would the iPads be outside the doors? Like, because I know at DHS we have like gates, so would it be by the gates, or would it be in like a check-in office? Because like, or like, how would they also?
Yeah.
Sorry, how would they be like secured so like someone doesn't steal an iPad?
Yeah.
And sorry, third question. With you said something about like tardy students and it could also track that or track them. So if there's like a lot of like traffic or like a lot of like students are tardy, like would there be multiple iPads set up, or like in that case would they be at the front office, or like how would they?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No,
Like, how
great
they
questions.
manage that?
So to answer your question, typically, for like a standard check-in process, an iPad is placed at the front desk. It is secured, so there are stations that you can put the iPad on where it's like literally, I've seen schools secure it to the table, where you can't really rip it off, so it's secured. Now, in terms of the iPad going outside, if you ever have an event, as long as you're within the school network, you can take the iPad outside and check people in wherever you want. If you have a lot of traffic, or if you know that a school is particularly busy, or maybe you have multiple entrances, then in that case, yes, you would utilize multiple iPads, because then at that point it just makes more sense. Yeah. Oh yeah, and then sorry.
Also, yeah, so that's a good question and a common one we face. So to avoid like bottlenecks, let's say at the iPad, let's say you just want one iPad at the front, right? You don't want to have like a line of 4 iPads. We can do various ways in which you can avoid that bottleneck. So one thing is we can actually print out or have a digital QR code. So what we can do is like print out a QR code, have it right on the iPad, and individuals can actually go up, use their phone, and then sign in on their mobile device, right? So you don't have to wait in a long line to get to the iPad. You can go up mobile and do it that way. Additionally, to avoid bottlenecks, we can have the receptionist sign someone in. So on just like their computer, you can sign someone in. And you can actually do, if it is like an event, we can actually do that ahead of time as well. So it is a system that's set up to avoid a bottleneck at the receptionist. But yeah, thank you.
And then just to jump in on the event portion, so like say we know there's a school play that's coming up and there's, I don't know, 200 people that are coming in. What that specific campus or school that has the play, what they can do is they can go ahead and send an invite via email to all of the guests that could potentially attend. All those guests will pre-register. They'll have a QR code that's on their phone, and all they'll have to do is just scan it. So you don't actually have to like type anything in. You won't waste time. You'll just go ahead and scan it, and that's it, and you're checked in. And then a lot of times I don't know if anyone had this concern or not, but I've experienced a lot of people ask me about this QR code right here. So if you look at it, you can place it. A lot of times people are like, well, parents are sneaky. They take a picture and then they pre-sign in and then they constantly use that and post it online into their group chats. Well, you can actually replace this QR code. So you can make it valid for however long you want. You could just regenerate a new one. Yeah. Any?
I have a question
Yeah.
about our cameras and the vape sensors. I know you guys are looking at doing it inside the school, but have we looked at like the track field or the football field or the soccer field and having cameras there where we will have students and activities?
Yeah, definitely. So when we started this whole project, we initially started with we were like, okay, we need this amount of cameras, this and this. Then Jared was like, okay, we got to go to every single campus. So Jesse sent us floor plans for everything. And Milo and myself, Dennis, Jesse, and Jared walked literally every single campus, and they showed us problem areas. So to be specific, I was at this campus when we were doing the scoping, and that was brought up. So that field is covered. Everything on the outside is covered. They told us certain areas that they wanted covered. So we made sure to cover everything that each either principal or staff member that we met during that time requested. Certain schools wanted less coverage for certain areas, or maybe they were like, this isn't a problem area, we don't need to focus on that. So we just went based on that. But overall, we have general coverage, I would say, of everything. And then we have more coverage in certain areas.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. From here, one last thing I just want to point out is one of our new developments that we've been doing. On your page, it looks a little weird because it's a video. We just talked about this. Oh, and I'll mind this too because it's a PDF, but I'll actually show you. I'll show you in a second, but pretty much what it is our school bus deployments. So we've recently gotten into bus deployments. So typically cameras on buses are a little hard to manage because a bus has to be at a certain location for you to view the footage. But in our case, you're able to do everything that I just showed you remotely and view the cameras on the bus. This is a map that we typically show. Give me one moment. I'll go ahead and show it to you. But this is just one of our new things that Verkada has gotten into, and I just wanted to show you guys so you're aware of all the things that we're doing. Okay. And I'll go ahead and slideshow it one more time. Okay, so right here, you'd be able to see our bus, and you'd be able to see that it's tracking it throughout on the map. It just became a little blurry when I saved it as a PDF, and then you'd be able to see the footage inside. But we're constantly, the point of like the whole of me showing you all of this is we're constantly evolving and developing, making new products. So everything is all on one platform, makes it easier for y'all to manage and keeps everybody safe. Yeah.
I'll just note on this bus deployment why it's unique to the security industries is because on typical bus deployments, again, with like kind of an on-prem system, what you have is a server on the bus, the camera recording feed, etc. And you actually have to wait for the bus to get back before you can actually then pull that footage, pull it inside and review it, right? But with this Verkada system, it's actually all done in real time. So let's say there is an incident on the bus, you can actually immediately get alerted and deal with that however you'd like. You don't have to wait for the bus driver to come all the way back, pull the footage off the bus, and then review it that way. This is all done just like your typical Verkada system in real time and will exist on the same dashboard as well.
Okay, thank you. And then one thing that I want to point out about the platform and cameras and kind of talk about our other product is alarms. So there are two things. Every camera that you saw today, everything can have alerts set to it, aside from it being like an alarm. So for example, if you want to draw a line by a door and get notified anytime somebody passes that line after the hours of 5 p.m., you can do that. That's the custom alerts that you can set up. They're included, they're there. But hypothetically, say you actually, and a lot of times people complain about this, but say your cameras, you arm your site and you get a call at 2 a.m. Oh, hey, there's something happening. And you go on your phone and you're like, oh, I can't, I have to go look through the footage. Is something actually happening? Do I have to, dispatch somebody? In this case, you can utilize our alarms and we have different levels to it. But what it would allow you to do is instead of having you wake up in the morning and look at your phone, there'll actually be an agent that will get notified and they'll be able to see if there's a person or not. And if there is a threat to the environment, they'll go ahead and dispatch the police and take care of it. Now, if it's a cat that just triggered the motion sensor, they'll go ahead and dismiss it and they'll put in the notes like, hey, it's just a cat, like we're good. But that's just the last product that I wanted to talk about. And then my last slide is just thank you. So again, just want to thank you all. This has been a pleasure. I hope that we do continue to expand with you all and work with you. And then if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to talk with you individually, whatever else. But these guys have done an amazing job. So I'm very glad to have worked with you all. But yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate the presentation, the information. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Mr. Brady.
To the superintendent, in the spirit of full disclosure, would it be beneficial to review the contract and identify the source of funds?
Absolutely. We do have that within our agenda. So this would come out of the IT budget that's allocated through capital projects. That's $585,000 annually. We're not asking the board to make a decision today. Today is just information and discussion. And if the board desires, we can bring back a contract in the future.
Okay.
So in regards to the bus, what happens if an incident isn't reported in a timely manner? Say it's 35 days, say something happened and, a parent meant to say something and doesn't, or the child's, there's a delay. Is it backed up that same, like only at like 31 or 32 days, it resets? And so you would lose that potential footage because you didn't go and archive an incident?
So I'll answer this question a couple of ways and then you can feel free to chime in after, but you decide what storage you'd like to put on the bus, right? So if ahead of time, you know that a lot of incidents, like sometimes people know that they need, 365 days of storage. You can tell us ahead of time, and before we even deploy it, we'll go ahead and put a 365-day camera in there. We have the option to do that. Now, you can archive footage. Say we go with a 30-day camera because majority of incidents happen with those 30 days. You can archive as much footage as you'd like. You're technically not limited on storage or any of that. It just sits in the cloud. So you can archive it. But if it's something that is missed, maybe at 35 days, nothing's been archived, then yes, it does get overridden. But again, we can control that based on how many incidents you usually have within, a certain period of time, and we can modify storage based on that.
Okay.
And then if you want to,
no, that actually, that makes a lot of sense. And then when people are logging into the system, either via the mobile app online, is there any, for instance, like I have different ways that I have to get into certain things, and I get a code, and then I have to go and I have to put that code in. Do you guys require that for these systems as well?
Yeah, so we support single sign-on, which I assume is what you're talking about, where you have a single sign-on provider, let's say Okta, Entra, Google Workspace, where you have all your apps in one platform, and that does all the like authentication for you, right? So if you have a single sign-on, we will most likely be able to support that, and then you can keep your existing workflow of the one authorization point. That being said, we can also do multi-factor authentication. So let's say not only do you want someone to just sign in with their email and their password every time, but you want to add an additional layer of security. You want them to also use Face ID or biometric, something like that. You can enable that as well. So single sign-on and multi-factor authentication are both supported.
Okay, thank you. And then also, Mr. Alvarado, just so you're aware, the quote that's attached to the agenda, it says it's only valid until April 16th.
Okay, I thought the quote was going to be longer. We'll work with Verkada and Mr. Rex. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure because it does say on our agenda for discussion only, and and then the quote that's attached though, it said it was only valid for another week. So I just want to make sure that the school district has enough time to pursue what we need to.
Yeah.
Okay, no, I just want to make sure we have all of our ducks in a row. Thank you.
Yeah. So I guess that's a question for Verkada. Are you willing to extend the date on that quote that you provided the district?
Yeah, we will go ahead and update that, Jared, and send that to you.
And then just to kind of circle back to what you were asking about multi-factor and stuff like that, or people logging in, you also have a log of every single person that logged in, what time they logged in, what they viewed, everything is logged in the platform. So in case you ever, there's a bad apple out there or whatever else, you'd be able to see that. Any other questions? I'm sorry? I'm glad. Thank you. That's awesome.
All right. Any other questions from the board? All right. Thank you very much for your
course.
time. We really appreciate you coming.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. And have a safe flight home.
Thank you. Do you want us to sign in on this?
No,
No?
no, you don't have to. That's fine. Thank you. All right, we will go back to agenda item number 2, public comment. This will be public comment for anything not on the agenda that's within the purview of the school board. We'll open that up at this time.
Marty Swisher, Gardnerville resident. Over the past 8 months, Douglas County School District has had to reduce dozens of staff positions, both to align with declining enrollment and to respond to the district's fiscal crisis. This has been exceptionally difficult and challenging, I know, for all of you here and across the school district for parents and students. So I wanted to recognize that. I also wanted to take a moment, because I don't think we've stopped and done this, to thank and recognize all the employees who have lost positions due to the decline. So we've had dozens of employees, and there's going to probably be more that I just want to publicly thank and say, unfortunately, we're in this situation, but we appreciate what you've done for our school district. There are 3 individuals specifically that I want to identify tonight. First of all, Blair Hintz, who was the transportation director, and he was reduced. Blair is a Douglas High School graduate. I believe he started as a custodian in the school district, if I remember correctly, but he was definitely a bus driver for a number of years and worked his way up to the director's position for transportation. I know I've had many conversations with him. I wanted to tell him I'm proud of him as a Douglas High graduate, that he committed himself to work for our students, and I appreciate that very much. Cheryl Mayfield, who came in as a director for our inclusion program, and I had some conversations with her. I never worked directly with her, just kind of ancillary work with her, but had a great deal of respect for the work that she did for our school district. And this is a very hard position, as some of you in this room know, working with special education and all the requirements and the legal requirements of it. So I wanted to recognize her and thank her for her service. And then lastly, I wanted to recognize Shannon Brown. Shannon Brown was an employee in our district for 17 years. He was a principal at Gardnerville Elementary School. He was a director of Ed Services, and then an executive director for Ed Services. He is a man of integrity. He gave us a lot of commitment, and he was always about kids. That's the one thing I want to say about Shannon. He was always focused on what's best for students and for families. So again, I just want to thank those people who have given a great deal to our school district, and recognize them and let them know that they will be missed. Thank you.
Thank you. Please make sure you push the button and turn your mic on, and make sure you state your name for the record.
Hi, thank you. Hi, my name is Melissa Rouse. I'm a parent of 2 students up here at the Lake Schools, and I'm the president of the Parents Club at Zephyr Cove Elementary School. Thank you for coming to our Lake Schools for your meeting. I'm here today to share something really special happening at our elementary school, something that reflects the heart of our community. We have an incredible group of parents who are leading and sustaining our garden program across all grade levels, from pre-K through 5th grade. These parents aren't just volunteering occasionally. They are deeply engaged, hands-on, and committed to creating meaningful, real-world learning experiences for our students. They are working alongside teachers to bring curriculum to life in ways that are tangible and memorable. Our students are learning how to plant and grow food, everything from strawberries to potatoes, but they're also gaining so much more than gardening skills. They're learning about responsibility, patience, teamwork, and even entrepreneurship. For example, students are participating in projects where they create their own plant-based businesses. They develop marketing plans, pitch ideas, and even ask for startup loans from the Parents Club. These are life skills being built in a garden setting, and it's incredibly powerful to see. What's especially inspiring is the level of dedication from our parent community. Some of these parents are even pursuing their Master Gardener certification so they can contribute in more informed, thoughtful, and impactful ways. That kind of commitment speaks volumes about the strength of our school community. So with this, the Parents Club is hosting, along with the George Whittle Booster Club, an event on Tuesday, April 28th at 2 p.m., and it's called the Warrior Way Cleanup Day. It's a collaboration between the elementary school and the high school, and it brings together several local organizations, including Keep Tahoe Blue, Eco Clean Solutions, and Douglas County Parks and Recreation. Together, we'll be celebrating Earth Day by engaging with students and family in meaningful cleanup efforts, helping care for our beaches, parks, and school spaces. And we'll also be highlighting our composting program that we also have, and our partnership with Douglas County Parks Rec and our parking program. It's a day that reflects not just environmental stewardship, but also connection between our schools, families, and the broader community. So I'd like to personally invite each of you to attend. It would mean a lot to our students, our families, and everyone who has put so much energy into making this program what it is. Thank you for your support.
Thank you. Any further public comment? Do we have any online? Okay. All right. Seeing as there is no more public comment, we will close public comment, bring it back to the board. We will proceed with our DCSD shout outs. Susan, would you like to start us off?
Jennifer Rashilla, CC Manili speech language pathologist. Ms. Rashilla has helped my daughter and many other students with reading. My daughter learned how to read when going to kindergarten. Her speech and reading skills have significantly improved, leading to many more opportunities and enlightenment. Thank you. Sarah Jacobson, speech pathologist. Sarah Jacobson is such a nice person and so inspiring to all the students. She makes an impact at MES, and we all really appreciate her. We love her in every way, and MES wouldn't be the same without her.
I have Autumn Thetford, librarian CVMS. Mrs. Thetford, thank you for taking understanding to the next level and making every student feel included in every way. Your problem-solving, warmth, and bright presence light up so many lives. We appreciate you. And April Anderson. April Anderson has went out of her way to help our son cope with everything going on in his world.
Andrew Parrish, art teacher. Mr. Parrish is kind, funny, and helps us with our art and tells us how to improve. I used to not like art and thought I have better ways of things to do. I almost tried to change my elective, but Mr. Parrish changed that and made art super fun and exciting. Tracy Lewis, MES. Tracy Lewis is the instructional aide in the Minden Elementary School kindergarten class, where I've been a volunteer for 3 years. Her work with these little learners is phenomenal. She brings patience, love, and energy to the classroom every day.
Augusta Hinton, Scarcella Elementary. Mrs. Hinton adapts very well to the many different personalities in her third grade classroom. She is the first teacher my son has had that can sense when my child's social anxiety takes over. She is kind and sweet and patient with him. She doesn't dismiss his feelings, but encourages him that he will be okay. He enjoys his classroom environment with Mrs. Hinton because she makes him feel safe. Thank you, Mrs. Hinton. Mrs. Sheila Craig. Mrs. Craig has a wonderful ability to individualize learning for her students. She makes each student feel welcome, important, included, and safe in their learning. She runs a well-organized and disciplined classroom. She is a CCMES treasure.
I have Jane Besaw, Pawalu teacher. Jane Besaw has patience with all students in the most challenging situations. She displayed that once again today in her mannerisms and calm demeanor, which truly benefited the students she was supporting. She goes above and beyond in her role as a teacher. And Lily Power, French teacher. Miss Power is amazing. She's good at keeping the kids engaged and interested in French. She's able to come up with the real life projects that challenge the kids, but still easy enough to make it fun. She's got a gift.
I have Gianna Rochella Salsi from Douglas High School. Gianna leads with kindness and inclusiveness at home, school, as well as with her extracurricular activities, which include tennis, bowling, pick'em club, speech and debate, as well as owning a small clothing and art business. Having skipped a grade and still being a straight A student, she is always willing to help other kids and shows respect and diligence to her teachers. Gianna takes the initiative to be very well-rounded and is no doubt an amazing human in a world where this is a lost art. I also have Michael Rex. Mr. Rex took the time to acknowledge my son's good behavior over this past year, a drastic change from the previous 2 years. He praised my son and gave him words of encouragement. My son came home and felt seen. Thank you, Mr. Rex, for taking the time out of your busy day to encourage students. It meant a lot to my son and to me, his parent. Thank you.
I have Gentry Hames. She is a DHS social worker. Gentry, you go above and beyond every single day in your role as a social worker. You truly have exceeded the expectations in helping students and in guiding your colleagues. Your dedication makes a difference, and it does not go without recognition. Shout out to you. And then the last one that we have is our CVMS counselor, Mr. Q. Thank you for being truly student-centered, inclusive, and trauma-informed every day. Your compassion and dedication create a safe, respectful space where all students feel seen and supported. We appreciate you. Thank you to all of our staff members. We appreciate you and all that you do, and are grateful that those members of our community are willing to put that out there, and we can share that with our community. So thank you. All right, we will move on to agenda item number 4, our consent items. All right. Sorry, I had to pull it up on my computer. Would anyone like to pull anything from our consent?
I have a question on.
Yes.
On the bullying report, and maybe Mr. Alvarado can elaborate on this. I had some questions on, there were very few bullying reported this quarter, but also under the suspensions, you had a number, but all the behaviors didn't really add up to that number. It was like the behaviors weren't recorded. Can you speak to those two things on the bullying report?
Yes, on that report, I believe you're talking about page 6. And on that page, it shows all of the major disciplinary events. These are categorized by the state. There are a number of disciplinary incidents that fall under prohibited behaviors. Those are not classified as major behavior codes within the state, so they don't fall under one of those categories. So there's 114 incidents of those prohibited behaviors that resulted in suspensions.
But the bullying report is accurate.
The bullying report is accurate. I reached out to each of those principals. They have verified they have 0 incidents at their schools for this quarter.
That is wonderful.
Yes. Change from last April. I don't know if you recall last April's meeting here where, we questioned the data on that report.
Question I have on that is on the expulsion side of things, right? We had the suspension and then the expulsion. It showed 0. I did not see any expulsions, and I know we've had them.
Remember, that's for the quarter.
Right.
The board has made decisions that sometimes don't result in expulsion. Sometimes you make a decision to do an involuntary transfer.
Right.
That wouldn't be categorized on that report.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you. I just need to disclose on voucher number 2684 and 2686 that I am listed on this voucher for repayment of travel for the subcommittee that I sit on. And just to let the public know that that is something that is reimbursed from the state. So I just needed to disclose that. Anything else? Ms. Jackson?
Just the small correction that needs to be made on the minutes for the
Yes.
March 26th meeting. It says that in the grievance that it was 6-1 and it was 6-0 because Dave Brady did not vote.
He abstained, correct. Renee, would you like to say something? Okay.
I did get guidance from Mr. Zinke and Mr. Brady so I changed it to show in blue the added 0. So it'll actually read 601, kind of like because I did the explanation of him not participating in that because he was absent. He abstained from that vote. So they said the good way to show that is it's 6-0 nays and then 1 abstaining.
Okay. Thank you very much for clarifying that. Appreciate it. All right. Anything else on our consent item?
I think it's just one more thing. I just want to kind of reiterate what Marty said in his public comment as we again have the, what am I trying to say? The personnel report of just how thankful we are for all of our employees, and we are sad for those that we have had to let go at this time.
Agreed. Thank you. And thank you to those who have served our district so well. Anything else in consent? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to point out 2 things on the personnel pages. So what the board will see and is approving tonight is the elimination of 8 classified positions, as well as 5 certified positions. Once Sue gets up here to present the tentative budget, for your awareness, those positions are not removed from the budget. So although that tentative will show a deficit, it'll come back to you in May as less of a deficit because we will eliminate those positions from the budget for next year.
Thank you.
The second item is we did go through a hiring process for our chief financial officer. We are recommending the hire for Terry Willoughby. Terry is with us tonight. So at the point you open up public comment, I would have given her a bio, but she wanted to come up and speak to the board.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and open it up for public comment then. Terry, would you like to come introduce yourself to the board?
Good evening, I'm Terry Wilby, and I wanted to thank the board for offering me the position of Chief Financial Officer and for honoring me with your trust in that position. And I look forward to working with the board and the community and just serving this district and the community and helping the district regain financial stability and working together to gain that, because none of us can do that alone. It takes a team. So I appreciate everything. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other public comment? Ms. Sawyer.
Adrian Sawyer, for the record, parent of 3 DCSD students. One, I had a question about the consent items. Why some maintenance projects are under consent and some are standalone items? Just that question. And then I have watched Mrs. Willoughby at county commissioner meetings present budgets, and she is phenomenal. I think the district knocked it out of the park. So kudos. Good hire.
Thank you. Any further public comment on consent? All right, we will close public comment. Mr. Alvarado.
Yeah, clarification for the board and the public. So routine maintenance, that's an annual obligation for the district, typically go into consent. At the point that maintenance exceeds $100,000, that's when we pull it from consent and make it its own item. So the board can discuss that further.
All right, thank you for that clarification. All right, would anyone like to entertain a motion for the board?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent items as written and corrections described.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion from Ms. Jansen and a second from Ms. Miller. Any further discussion or questions? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, we will go ahead and go into our agenda item number 6, our tentative budget. Miss Sue Estes, thank you for coming.
Sue Estes for the record. The tentative budget, as much as we would have loved to have filed a balanced budget, is still not there yet. As Frankie alluded to, we are still working on reduction in force. We are still working on trying to figure out different ways. But I wanted to, when I present this budget, I wanted to kind of go over some things that I think are going to be kind of helpful for the other funds that are involved that will help us kind of free up a little bit. Not necessarily for operations, but for capital projects and for the debt service and that sort of thing. So as you can see from the highlights that we have for the general fund, we have included for eliminated positions, we dropped in the budget by $1.6 million. The Aspire lease is going away this year for next year, excuse me. And so that saved us $120,000. We have the discretionary funds, because we are combining the 2 schools, have also reduced by some because of the enrollment. Those are projected and we won't have actuals until December. And then we have utilities went down based upon the Manili School not being used and stuff. So we've tried to capture all the savings that we could possibly capture in the general fund. But our revenue went down from 59 million to 57 million. So we lose $2 million, and we are able to pick up $1.6 million in eliminated positions. But as you can see, we are still in the negative. We are working, and we think that the news personnel pages that came through that talked about the reduction in force will probably give us another $1 million. We still have a ways to go. We did find out from PERS today that even through negotiations that we cannot go back and pull anything from the teachers for the biennium, which was from 25 to 27, we're not going to be able to actually capture any savings in the shared cost for PERS until 27, when PERS sends forth a new rate, probably an increase. They actually mentioned if it's a decrease or an increase. Well, we've never had a decrease in the PERS, so I believe it's probably an increase. But at that time, that's when we can actually automatically certify that we will actually be sharing a cost for PERS in 27. Okay, just a couple of facts that I think are interesting to build these budgets. I kind of wanted to go into each fund, and I'm just going to briefly talk about them. You can ask questions if you like, but the building and sites, we have spent some of those funds, and we really only have about 118,000 left for the current year. Moving into next year, so it is not like available. But if we sell a building, then of course it will be posted there, and then we might be able to have an interfund loan. The risk of having an interfund loan is that you still have to pay it back in 364 days, so it doesn't make a lot of sense for us to actually have to increase a payment for the loan and make that happen within a year. So I think where we're going to actually capitalize on that is if we do sell a building, that will be posted as revenue into the building and sites, and we will be able to use that for capital projects. I did find some good news out from JNA, who is our bond counsel, and they talked about, due to the state that we're in, we could actually propose a floating bond that would actually not have to have voter approval, and it would go into our debt service. But what it would do is free up capital projects money, because as we mentioned before in the February, when we brought the February budget forth, we moved $2.8 million from our debt service into the capital projects to accommodate the expenditures from our general fund. Well, we won't be able to do that continually for years. And so what this would do, this floating bond would actually pay for the capital projects that are actually already approved. The boilers, the HVAC, all those things that have been approved for 5 years out there, that it would actually pay for those, and that we would only have that money that came from the general fund. So that is a help to us so that we can continue on this, but it will have to be it's a work in progress for actually to get this, the bond. Our ratings went down, as you would be well aware, that the ratings would go down based upon our fiscal emergencies that we're in. They went down, which would probably increase our debt service payment for that particular bond, but I think it would still be very helpful to be able to capitalize on some of the expenditures from our CIP. And so that's kind of our intent, and I just found this out just the other day, so that might be something that would allow us to continue to keep the $2.8 million from the general fund in our capital projects as allowable expenditures there. As you can see from the federal funds have gone down. I know, Marcus, you were actually talking about that and what happens to those federal funds. We were able to exclude the ESSER funds. We were able to exclude the AB 495, which were those one-time funds that we paid for over 2 or 3 years. Those are gone. We've eliminated any funds that are actually not going to be used or not approved in the budget for this year. And our food services fund, we're trying to spend that down, but not to the point where we want to spend it to where the general fund would ever have to put money into there. But they had a pretty large fund balance over the years that we had all the free and reduced lunches, and we got federal reimbursement that was really high. So we are spending down some of that. Whether we'll spend all of that, a big portion probably of what we have in the current year will probably roll to the next year, so it will still be a pretty good fund balance. The special ed still remains in a deficit, but there are plans, I think, for our special ed to actually really scrutinize what is needed as far as aides, and I don't know that we can delete too many teachers. I think that right now we are probably maxed out with the deduction in teachers, but we do have a lot of aides out there that I think that between Amy and Jeannie, who is very familiar with inclusive ed, are going to work on. So we're hoping that that will also take care of itself. And then the other one is the debt service. As you can see, the debt service has gone down substantially. Let me make sure I get to the right page. Okay, we started out with a 4.2 fund balance in the debt service, but by transferring the 2.8 to the capital projects, we're going to be at 2.3. It is still a very lucrative fund because we receive taxes yet that are able to be captured in the debt service at 10 cents. And so we still have that until I think 35. So I think we're in relatively decent shape compared to what we might have thought when we filed the budget for the December budget when we were in 5 million in the hole. So we are making headway, but we still, because we are losing revenue we were very conservative in the enrollment. Maybe that will be a better number, but right now we've had, Frankie, maybe you can talk about how many students we've actually had pull out of our enrollment right now for homeschooling.
Yeah, so recently I sent the board a report. We've had 387 withdrawals from the district. I just received an update this week that out of those 387 withdrawals, 215 of those students are going to homeschool. So what we've estimated in our enrollment next year is a 200 student decrease. That kind of aligns with what you'll see on the enrollment report and the informational items where we started the year at a declining enrollment of 217 students. We believe this conservative estimate will help us balance our budget. And if we get more kids into the building, that's a plus for us, and that's more money to go towards our deficit and to build back our ending fund balance to 4%.
And I think it's interesting to point out that our kindergarten is coming in at half of what our seniors graduating are. So this is going to take several years to actually reach this place where we feel comfortable and file a budget that is based upon, enrollment that is consistent, and maybe longer, but right now those are the situations that we're in, and we're hoping to be in a little better situation in the final budget, but right now we're still going to be in a deficit of $2.4 million in the general fund.
But we will delete the positions that you've eliminated through consent, and that we're hoping that's right around $1 million. So that 2.2 will probably go down to 1.2, and then we have to go out to finish our negotiations. Hopefully we can recover what our deficit amount is. We do have to reach back out to CLGF. Some of the things they've requested that we do within negotiations are just not viable options. So I will reach out to them to give them an update on that.
And that will be also, and probably not before the final budget. Yeah.
We'll do our best, but we're going to come down to the wire once we present the final budget in May.
But in December, we should be in better shape knowing what we really truly have. So that is our budget. Are there any questions?
Mr. Brady.
Sue, can you clarify? You indicated building and sites had 118,000. It shows here 181,000.
Oh, sorry. I misspoke. It was 181. I was trying to remember. Is that 118 or 181? That's why I should always look. It is 181,000, but that's, we have projects that we've already paid for in the current year. So we really couldn't capture those into the tentative budget. Yes.
Ms. Jackson.
So this is our draft of the budget, and the actual one will be in May, correct?
Mhm.
What do we have to do? I mean, obviously that budget has to be balanced that we send to the state. How are we going to, what do we have to do that? How are we going to get this to zero?
Yeah, so I mentioned we're going out to negotiations, trying to find a compromise with our employees. If we're unable to make a compromise by that May regular board meeting, we're going to have to take quick action to determine other reductions in force to capture additional, $1.2 million to file a balanced budget.
Mr. Zinke.
How did you know? I've scrolled through this a few times and I don't see our investment account anymore. Is there a reason? The 10.8 million that was a point of contention months ago?
The 10.8 million sits in an investment account. It's never been in the tentative budget. It's never been in a budget before. All it does is show in our actual cash, we have $10.8 million that is there and available to use if our cash goes low or we, are in threat of going overdraft in the bank. We would want to pull some of those investments out, but it's just cash in, cash out, as we've discussed. So it doesn't really help with operations. We can't post it to our general fund, otherwise we'd be we wouldn't be in trouble right now.
Well, because I listened to I'm going to get the acronym wrong, CLGF, CFLGQ.
You got it right the first time.
So,
Got it right.
when that was a direct question regarding that investment money, and that we can use it. We just need to take it out the same way it was put in. Is there a way to get a list of where each of the dollars came from and how they can be used?
Well, it's been over many, many years.
Sure.
Yeah, that money that, we have invested when we had like the sale of the buildings and stuff, we've actually invested some of those funds. When we had large payments for our debt service, that was not from the debt service, but from our actual taxes that we recorded in the general fund. Sometimes we would get really large payments, and so we'd take some of that out and invest it. But overall, that's really the biggest pots of money that we would actually have taken out of our funds and moved to our investments. Yeah, because we don't usually get big amounts of money. And it was only through our local taxes. And that is that's probably the biggest reason why we're in the position we're in right now. Is that, if people knew from the county that, their taxes are actually supporting Clark County and Washoe County, it would be very disturbing to, I think, many of our patrons, because I think that they don't realize when they're paying their taxes that we're not collecting those funds. And so that's really kind of the biggest reason why we're in the situation we're in. I can't even explain it any other way, because the tax structure that would come in when, I think it was in August, when we had a lot of tax payments and stuff, sometimes we'd have an $8 million tax payment, and we just don't have that anymore. So.
Mr. Brady.
How do you respond to the fact that year over year, the LGIP decreased $4.5 million? Where did that money go?
You mean decreased?
Yes. It was
Okay.
18 million. It dropped to.
Well, it was 15.8 for years and years and years. And then because of the structure of the money that was coming in and the lack of revenue, and when it would come in, sometimes it was a timing issue that we had to pull funds from there to actually support our payroll. And, these are the things that but it sounds to me like every school district is having to do this, is that they're having to go into all the restricted funds, because our all funds is a compilation of all the funds, and they'd have to go into the restricted funds to actually, make the payments. And, and that was one of the things that they spoke about in that meeting. Yeah. So it was just a timing thing. And so we really pulled out about $4.5 million, or else, and that's really only in the all funds. It really doesn't help the general fund at all. So.
Any other questions? Anything you wanted to add, Mr. Alvarado?
No, I believe everything was covered in this tentative budget. Thank you, Sue. Thank you for all of your hard work, and thank you for being strict about pulling positions out of the budget until after the board approves it. I think that's best practice. Thanks.
It's painful. This is a painful time. I've never experienced that. So it's been a pretty painful time to actually see people lose their jobs like that. Yeah. So.
Agreed. Thank you. Appreciate all your hard work on it.
Thank you.
All right. So, we will go ahead and open it up for public comment at this time before we bring it back to the board.
Adrian Sawyer, for the record, parent of 3 DCSD students. So I just want to clarify that in the May budget, there will be 33 positions that will be cut. The 20 that are in this budget, and then the 13 that were just approved. I just want to clarify that that is correct.
That is correct, right?
Yes, we will most likely get just above 40. The goal was to get to 50. Depending on what happens with negotiations, we may have to reach all the way out to 50.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Any further public comment? All right. Do we have any online? All right. Then we will close public comment at this time and bring it back to the board for discussion and possible motion. Anybody want to ask any questions?
So we can approve this one with still in the negative with the understanding that by May it will be zero on that budget, correct?
We don't have a choice but to file a balanced budget. It is illegal to file a budget that's in a deficit position.
So I will make a motion that we approve the tentative budget.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Ms. Knighting, a second by Ms. Jansen. Any further questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, we will move to our agenda item number 8, our concrete and pavement maintenance project. Thank you, Phil, for joining us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. Do you want to talk about the capital budget, number 4, number 5? Or we could start with this.
In the carpet maintenance project, is that the one you're talking about? We just have the concrete and pavement maintenance project.
I have here maintenance and project report where I was going to talk about the future maintenance and construction project.
That is not on our agenda for today.
Okay.
Yeah, Phil, the CIP got moved to the May meeting. I believe Renee reached out to you and it wasn't quite ready, so we postponed it. to May.
Okay.
All right.
Thanks. It was on the one I got, but no problem.
All right, thank you.
So the pavement and concrete maintenance project got awarded to Colbury Grading and Paving, and they were the only bid accepted, and it was $275,000. And I can tell you what the projects include if you like.
Yes, please.
Okay. Powaloo includes all parking lots, bus lanes, basketball court, and resealed, crack-filled, and striped for all 3 of those areas. Any questions about that?
No.
Okay. And then for Powaloo also, the concrete will be the front area and the back courtyard that's really raised from all the tree damage. Scarcelli will be all parking lots, bus lane, and playgrounds. George Patel will be the front entrance and adjoining sidewalk, concrete. MES and GES will be the playgrounds. Will be crack-filled, resealed, and striped. And CVMS will be the concrete front entrance and sidewalk out front. So any questions about that?
Ms. Miller?
So I noticed Douglas High is not on here for concrete. I did notice with the new fence project over by the soccer field, the entrance gate is not aligned with the ramp or handicap, just so you're aware.
Okay, that's the one out by 88.
Yes, going into the soccer field.
Okay.
There's a pass-through gate that people walk through. It's not aligned with the ramp, so people have to go up over the curb into there. So I didn't know if Douglas was going to be part of this concrete program or not.
Yes, but John Tobias told me that when we're doing soccer events, the main double gates will be open at that time.
That's great for soccer because they're not being opened for lacrosse.
Okay, I'll check into it for you.
Thank you, Phil.
But I don't believe we're doing concrete work, but we can add it if need be.
I just figured if we have a side gate that's being utilized by people, with strollers or wheelchairs, that falls under concrete. So we should make sure that that is accessible for all people.
I'll make a note of it and get back to you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Mr. Zinke?
Yeah, I see the correspondence from Mr. McCullough about the second bid being received 11 minutes late. Is it common practice that we are hard and fast with our 10 o'clock time? Because right now we are in a budget crisis and I would hate to throw away however much unless you know the price over 11 minutes. So I'm just curious.
Yes, Scott told me to tell you that it is the NRS in that chapter or whatever that it has to be on time or it can't be accepted.
Okay, thank you.
And when that person came in, he did ask what the winning tally was, and Scott told him, and he couldn't believe that it was being done that cheaply. So it was his was way more.
So that it
but
was
we
good
didn't
either way.
We
Thank
didn't
you.
look it up, but
Very good. Thank you so much.
okay.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you, Mr. Demas. I appreciate your presentation.
Okay, thank you.
We will go ahead and open it up for public comment at this time. Do we have any online? Okay. All right. Seeing as there is no public comment, we will close it at this time and bring it back to the board for further discussion and questions or a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the concrete and pavement maintenance contract with Colby Grading and Paving of Nevada for $275,000 as presented.
I'll second.
All right. I have a motion by Ms. Miller, a second by Ms. Jackson. Any further discussion?
Do we need to approve like 10% over something in the communication it said to include?
Oh.
Yeah, we probably do. Or you could just say as presented. Does that work?
I can resend my motion and
Yeah, I would say just rescind and restate.
I resend my motion.
I rescind the second.
So just mark it out, Renee.
Okay, I'm gonna try it again. I motion to approve concrete and paving maintenance contract with Colby Grading and Paving of Nevada for the $275,000 as presented, including a 10% contingency.
I'll second it.
All right. A motion by Ms. Miller, a second by Ms. Jackson. Any further discussion?
Yeah.
Yep.
What was the reason for adding the 10% contingency?
In the letter from Scott McCullough, it said at the bottom that they were asking to approve any change orders of up to 10% of the contract amount.
Okay. So
they
does
don't
that
have
just count as the as presented, or are we just it's fine semantics. Moving on.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right. At this time, we'll go ahead and take agenda item number 5, which is closed session. And which room are we going?
President Wagstaff,
Yes.
can we do item 11? And then the cabinet team can be dismissed and then we'll go into closed session.
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
can do
Sorry.
that. No, I appreciate you pointing that out. Yes, we'll go ahead and take
Thank you.
agenda item number 11, our board policy 523, our substance use, misuse, and abuse.
All right, Leslie Peters, excuse me. This is a policy that definitely needed to be reviewed and revised. 1989 was an amazing year for music and high school dances at Douglas, but the policy needed some updating. So Mr. Brown started this work earlier. He was working with Gentry Hames on this, and they took suggestions to leadership. So secondary administrators were also involved in this process. What they determined was the 1989 policy just really needed to be completely rewritten. So on your in your board agenda, you'll see that the 1989 policy is completely redlined, and there is this new policy completely in blue. This was kind of this final process then after conversations with administrators at the secondary level. Gentry Hames went back and finalized this. So I really was not involved in the process, but I'm here presenting it to you. It does align with the fact that the state expects evidence-based practices. We need to have restorative practices in place as a way to help educate students if they're having trouble with substance misuse, use, all of those things. I think the next step in the work is that we look at the administrative regulation, because that's really where the guidance is for the administrators. So this is just in general, this is what it looks like when we are trying to support students that need this extra support in this area. And then specifically, what does that look like at the schools will come in the AR. So that's some work that I will do with some of our secondary leaders and social workers. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions from the board?
So in regards to the components part on number 2 about intervention and restorative practices, there's a couple of group interventions that are listed. Are there more that, do we need to fine tune that? Do we need to be less descriptive, or should we be more inclusive with different, like it only has a couple of things that are listed? Does that make sense?
I think that's okay. I think the specifics really come in the administrative regulation, and what we saw, like with being so specific in a policy, we had a policy that said we were still having a DARE officer. We haven't had that for a lot of years in this district. So I think the policy is best to be clear, but a little less specific. And then the administrative regulation is where we really get more of the specifics.
No, that makes sense, because I did see, you know, like McGruff on there too, and that was
yeah, he was there too in 1989.
I was like, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, Officer McGruff. It's just, you know, obviously you have the elementary and then you have secondary. And so there are some things that are listed. So I don't know if maybe we should make that more generic so then the AR can be more specific.
I think this is just in general, right? We have social skills development. We have, you know, there's a tobacco process. We have right now, we are piloting, it's called Compass Navigate 360. So our behavioral threat assessment is in that platform, but we also at several of our schools are piloting the kind of educational curriculum side of that. And so that has been used with some of our students when they have had a disciplinary situation that has required a consequence. Part of that restorative practice piece can be that we specifically assign them modules inside this platform that are very specific to what their infraction was. If we get too specific with this though, anytime, you know, sometimes vendors switch, you know, we don't have a vendor anymore. So this just kind of lets you know these things are in place, and then the specifics don't necessarily
No, that
need
makes
to be
sense.
listed here. But
It lists like AA, NA, and a concerned persons group. So I
Right.
didn't know how specific we needed to be, if that's all we're going to go with, or if there's other groups that we can go with. So I want to make sure that our students get, you know, the best situation.
I think this is probably, and like I said, I apologize that I wasn't involved in this part of it. My assumption would be yes.
Yes, Jeannie, please speak. I just want to make
I was
sure
over
that
here
we're-
like,
I didn't even see you. With
so
me.
we asked, I actually asked Gentry specifically. I was very involved in the development of this policy or redevelopment.
Why are you
of it.
not up here right now
I
presenting?
should be
the-
next to you. I don't know. And so I actually had that very same question for Gentry with the secondary administrators. And she said, this is what we need to have in here, that this is appropriate. And these are the supports that are in place right now in our community. And so,
okay.
She, we wanted to make it more vague, and she liked these things and thought they should still be listed. So we did consult with Gentry, because Gentry does a lot of this work also outside of our school district as a community practitioner. And so she said that those were appropriate and those should remain.
Okay, I just want to make sure, one, you know, obviously this is very outdated, and so we're updating for NRS, but two, that our students and our community make sure that when we are doing this kind of support, they're all feeling included. And so I want to make sure that we have all of that information in here for all those students.
And so some of the things listed in the 1989 board policy were removed, but she felt that those needed to stay. So I appreciate your input, and we did talk about that in great detail, because we also thought times are going to progressively change forward, and we do have new programs coming out because of the opioid money, what have you. And so she assures us those are the things. This isn't limiting. And as Leslie said, the AR will really be more of the process that schools will take.
And I think that's important for our community to know. Like, this is just step one of our of what we're updating, and the AR is going to be on the back end more for our administrative, and that can be more, defined, and we could have more options listed than this. So
Exactly.
thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Zinke.
For the sake of the ambiguity, which would hold the test of time, unlike McGruff the crime dog. Right. I remember him well. I loved him. Could we just add another subtext under group interventions that basically cites the AR or says any other program deemed functional for group interventions, and then the AR could
Just a general.
adjust throughout time, and so it's covered?
So at the very bottom, it says the Administrative Regulation 523 for specific disciplinary and restorative procedures. And so those are restorative procedures, but we could fine tune that language if you'd like.
I don't know if we need to. The ambiguity is important. And because if we get too detailed here, and then the AR can't adjust or is handcuffed by this, and I certainly think the AR is more important. So I think you
I would
do as
agree.
well.
Ms. Jackson.
I would just say, I think social skills development and concerned persons groups is pretty broad. I think any other thing that comes into existence can fit under that, right? And just be like, this is a concerned persons group, so I feel like those two keep it very broad for anything else.
Was your hand up, Ms. Jansen? Oh, you were just moving. Okay. Just making sure, because you hide behind Melinda, so sometimes I don't see you. All right. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns? All right, then we'll go ahead and open it up for public comment. Thank you, Ms. Peters. We have one online.
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Terralyn Marino for the record. I had some pretty similar concerns. First, I just want to thank you all for taking the time to update your substance use policies. I appreciate the commitment to keeping your policies up to date in line with evidence-based practices. As a parent, I'm glad to know that today substance use policies are being prioritized. Board members listed any talk about. So I also had some issues with the group intervention section of the draft. Under elementary, it says friendships or sharing groups. This is something I've never heard of. I can't find literature about. I'd appreciate if these are evidence-based groups, if we could have the information that indicates that. And then, of course, there's AA and NA, which are spiritual groups. And then I looked into what concerned person groups, a specific group, and a quick it led me to find it being described officially as this. It helps people focus on Christ rather than on the problem. It serves as a powerful evangelistic tool by providing a way to minister to people's felt needs, pointing them to Christ. That being said, I hope the board is actually committed to providing diverse groups that fit the needs of all students, not just those of a specific background. The key here is just to provide choices. Those groups are great, but choices are really important to fit the needs of all families and students. I found NRS 389.033, and that's a development of a list of curricula and programs concerning prevention and substance misuse and substance use disorders. This is available online. It has awesome resources. I would just love to see these recommendations incorporated within our district's board policy. And researching further, I found the Tahoe School District has some cool services that they offer just for general student well-being. This includes SBIRT screening, MBSAT, which is mindfulness-based substance use treatment for adolescents, Smart Recovery, which is an evidence-based addiction recovery that can be used for youth and teens. Smart Recovery also has a family and friends program that uses an evidence-based approach to helping the family and friends of anyone with a substance use problem. Again, I'm really excited that you guys are updating this policy. I was shocked to see DARE on the previous version of it. But yeah, I really hope to see that this can help to prevent and treat substance use issues in our students. And in doing so, that we're giving students choices, that they're not being shoehorned into any specific spirituality or anything like that, or any religion. That every student, despite their background, has a choice that can really help them to get through their substance use disorder. Because it is a serious problem. Full disclosure, I am
We lost you there, but
happy
your
that this is
3
being
minutes
taken
is up.
seriously.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
Okay, thank
Your
you.
3 minutes is up. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any further public comment? All right, then we will close public comment at this time. Thank you very much for input and questions. So, and that is a first reading, so that will come back again to us in May for a second reading and a vote. Oh my goodness, my brain. Sorry. Before we go to closed session, we'll go ahead and take our student report because I know Jocelyn has to leave. So
to the rope down there.
Oh, wait. I think it's okay. Sorry. No, it's okay. Yeah.
There we go.
Hi. I don't have much today. Other than like, track, spring sports, swim, baseball, softball. They're all in season right now. Or not in season, but session, you know what I mean? Okay. Yeah. We have our prom on Saturday, and all of us are really looking forward to that. And Miss Mitchell and I have met up and talked about the calendar. Oh my gosh, the calendar survey, and that's been sent out, and we're hoping for results pretty soon so that we can talk about my gosh, the future calendar in our May meeting, or we have a calendar meeting specifically for that. But yeah, other than that, I don't really have much to say. Do you guys have anything to?
no, thank you very much. Any questions? Mr. Brady?
Do you remember the 3 baskets?
Yes, I actually was telling some of my friends about it. I was like, oh, this is so cool. Do you want me to share?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I enjoyed it. Well, actually, I do want to share them. Basically, there's 3 baskets in life, and it's basically about like what you can and cannot control. And I thought it was a pretty good like life lesson. So basically, the first basket is like what you can have complete control of. So that's like, I don't know, kind of like, for example, like how you talk to other people, like just basically like your choices that you make. The second basket is like how you can influence certain things, or like you can influence the control of something. So like Mr. Brady said when he was speaking to our leadership class, he used the example of like you can dress nice and like wear your best suit and stuff at an interview, and that like influences that, but it's not going to like fully control like whether you get the job or not. And then there's third basket items, which are items, I don't know if that's the right word, but it's where you have no control over it, and basically you just have to go through life thinking like, okay, is this like a first, second, or third basket item? Like you kind of get where you're going when you need to be, kind of like burnt toast theory, if you know what that is. And I don't know, I thought it was cool personally, but
If I may, the 3rd basket analogy, I took my boss's car to Southern California. I had to pick up a printer, and I got his car stolen. So I
on accident.
called him and said, "Do you remember the 3 basket analogies?" And he said, "You know that 3rd basket? Well, your Suburban's in it." And he says, "You're absolutely right. Do you have a ride home?"
Yeah, I just thought that was cool. So yeah,
Thank you for sharing. Appreciate it. And have fun at prom.
thanks.
Yeah.
I'm excited. It's crazy. Like we have our last few events of the school year coming up. So yeah,
It goes fast.
it does. I
Yeah.
feel like yesterday was February, and then before that it was like November, and then
It was just,
Yeah.
there was some time in between. Just doesn't feel like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Does.
Yvonne, can I make a request really quick?
Yes.
Jocelyn, I just would like to request, Jillian Wagner
Oh yeah.
had her town hall the other day. And so I know that was just the other day, so I was not expecting a report on it today. But if you could like talk with her a little bit and give us a report next month on some of the things that they talked about.
Yeah, for sure.
We would love that.
That'd be
Thank
cool.
you.
Yeah. Actually I called her on my way here, because I was like gonna see if I could like drive by her house and pick her up and take her with me or something. But she was at work and I didn't know and I kind of felt bad and it's okay. But yeah, I definitely will do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Mhm.
All right. So we will go ahead and we'll take a 5-minute recess and then meet are we meeting over there? In that room?
Yeah.
Are we going back there? We're going back there for closed session.
He'd unlock. He said he'd unlock it. Annabelle's here.
All right. We're in recess. All right, we are back from our recess and closed session. And just for transparency, we discussed union negotiations. All right, moving on, we will take agenda item number 12. Mr. Alvarado.
All right, thank you, President Wagstaff. So agenda item 12 is first reading of Board Policies 100 series. Just like I brought the 600 series, I want to acknowledge the great work of Dr. Dave Jensen, who we are utilizing the grant we received from NDE, the Operational Efficiency Grant. So this is not impacting our general fund whatsoever. And he helped support the revisions for the 100 policies. I'm going to go through a short synopsis of the updates for these policies, but if there's any questions, please stop me. I don't have every policy up, but I will bring that policy up. As a reminder to the board, new language is in blue. Language that is being eliminated is in red strike through, just for your awareness. So Board Policy 101 is about the educational philosophy and goal statements. In this policy, we shift the focus from a general instructional program to one centered around instructional equity and legal accountability, and specific state standards in this policy. For Board Policy 102, student goals, we've enhanced this policy to broaden student development to include 21st century learning skills, such as digital and financial literacy. And it links these goals to equitable access to our vulnerable populations, such as our English learners and our inclusive education students. Board Policy 103, equal educational opportunity. We've transformed this policy into a comprehensive compliance document with clear reporting structures and broader legal protections for students and staff. Board Policy 104, fair employment practices and non-discrimination. This policy establishes stricter reporting timelines and ensures employment practices align with a vast array of federal and state laws, including the Genetic Information Non-Discrimination Act. Board Policy 106, as all schools in the state of Nevada, we are tobacco-free schools. And in this policy, we covered e-cigarettes and vaping, because those are the new modern devices that are being utilized. And ensuring the prohibition applies to every district property at all times.
What about the little patch at the
Nicotine pouches.
yeah. Are
Yes. So previously nicotine was referred to as smoking, right? And so we included e-cigarettes. You're absolutely right about the I forget, I think they're called Zin.
Yes,
Mhm.
that's it. Then
We can definitely add the Zin in there.
I think
that a brand name?
Zen is a brand,
Yeah,
but that idea,
they're
yes.
nicotine pouches that they
Yeah.
put like in their lip. It's almost like a chew, but it's not.
Yeah, it's just a cotton piece of.
But I'm wondering if we should add those along with
Yes.
cigarettes, e-cigarettes, vaping, just because that is very popular among high school students, is those pouches.
we can add the pouches. Would you also like to add the gum?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we say anything with
Nicotine.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we
anything.
just
I say
put all
any
in
I like
place?
that better.
Something new to
Sorry.
have.
Yeah, because they will invent something new and put it in a different product, right? Maybe a
Exact-
drink or something.
Exactly.
In
So if we
any
have it
product containing nicotine.
containing a nicotine derivative
Yeah.
or
It does-
whatever legal would like to.
It
do.
does say tobacco products of any kind.
Oh, does it?
Yes.
Oh, I guess I missed that.
For the record, nicotine is not tobacco. So
Yeah. No, it's not.
let's add nicotine, please.
Yes. Okay, board policy 107, employee student assistance programs.
Well, Mr. Alvarado, I hate to interrupt you. I just have a quick question back to the previous policy. So what about like at a football game? We have members of the community come in, there's smoking, there's vaping, there's all those types of things happening in the parking lot, in the bathrooms, in the stands.
Correct.
How do we?
So the presentation you received from Verkada today,
Mhm.
right, brings vape sensors, and that would cover the bathrooms out at the football field, right?
Okay.
And we would also enhance our camera system if the board were to pursue this contract, in which we can easily identify. At the football field, we probably should enhance our signage and add more signage, definitely at every entrance, but also in different areas on our fencing at the football field and the soccer field to make sure everybody's forewarned. At the point somebody does utilize a product on site, there should be intervention by an administrator or school employee or even an SRO. Sometimes that would be a warning. Sometimes that's going to be an escort off of our school grounds. It's really going to be dependent on the situation and the product that's being utilized on our premises.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, going back to BP 107 for the employee and student assistance programs. So for this, we added language to emphasize early intervention. And then we clarified that the district refers individuals to resources. So in many times where we have issues at our school sites, Mrs. Dwyer does an excellent job of providing the principal with the EAP pamphlet and information document. And then that principal sends that out to the staff. To my knowledge, our staff is utilizing that. And the same goes for student assistant programs, but that's handled differently at the school sites. Any questions for that item? Okay, BP 108, controlled substance and alcohol-free environment. So what we did is explicitly prohibit medical and recreational cannabis to remain in compliance with federal law. It also provides a detailed definition of the misuse of medication. Okay. BP 109, American with Disabilities Act. This is also referred to as ADA. In this policy, we introduce a formal interactive process whenever we expect or even have an assumption that someone has a disability that may impact their ability to perform their job duties. Immediately, HR should be involved with the direct supervisor to engage that employee through the interactive process and determine if we need to implement appropriate accommodations or modifications to duties. At the worst case scenario, sometimes that could also lead to what's called a fit for duty, in which we have to determine whether, an employee has a disability and whether that disability prevents them from doing their job duties at all. Board Policy 110, this is a district workplace safety policy. We added mandatory reporting timelines for work-related fatalities, 8 hours required. Of course, we're going to get it a lot sooner than that, but it's important to have timelines. Within hospitalizations, so we should have notice within 24 hours. Sometimes, depending on the nature of the hospitalization, it does require a report to OSHA, and the HR department will handle that reporting requirement. It also mandates a written hazard communication program and the maintenance of safety data sheets. That likely will be performed in concert between human resources and also our facility or even chief financial officer, who will be responsible of, all of our property and liability insurance programs. Board policy 110, district workplace safety. Actually, I just did that one.
You're on 111.
Yep. Board policy 111, violence in the workplace. So this is already part of practice, but what we're doing is mandating the establishment of threat assessment protocols. We do have a behavior threat assessment team. Mr. Brown used to lead that process. He helped implement that process. Those responsibilities have now been transferred to human resource. So Mrs. Dwyer will be the new lead for BTAs. We have a BTA team at each of our school sites, and our psychologists are part of that team as well. And we've seen some great progress with that process.
A question that I have is in the first paragraph, it says, but is not limited to a prohibiting, intimidating, threatening, or hostile behavior. Is there supposed to be a comma between prohibiting and intimidating, or is that on it didn't make sense to me. Maybe I just didn't understand.
Yeah, we can add a comma there just to.
Okay. I just didn't know if it was something that I missed. Anyway, just a question.
We could fix that.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay. Any questions regarding BP 111 and BTAs?
I have another question.
Okay.
Sorry. One of the things that it talks about is it says discharge. And I know in some of our other policies, it says termination. Is there a difference between termination and discharge?
Let me pull this up here. So this is not referencing a separation with an employee. A termination is a separation with an employee.
Right.
A discharge can be when a juvenile is under the custody of law enforcement or in a hospitalization, and then they experience a discharge, from somebody's care.
Okay. All right. I did not read it that way.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Okay.
Thank you.
BP 112, sexual harassment. We've added language stating if conduct meets the federal definition of sexual harassment under Title IX, then Board Policy 117 governs the response instead of 112. It also mandates that employees report incidents to the Title IX coordinator. Our Title IX coordinator is Mrs. Dwyer, our Executive Director of HR, and it's typical for HR to serve as the Title IX compliance officer. BP 113, safe and respectful learning environment. So what we did is expand the scope of the policy to include working environments and district programs and activities. It added bullying to the list of prohibited acts alongside harassment and intimidation. BP 1.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry. At the end of 113, it talks about now I got to find it again. I should have highlighted it. That would have been smart.
While you're looking for it, just for the board's awareness, we're not bringing the administrative regulations, which is the management aspects of these policies. Those will come to you at the second reading for BP 100 series. And they come to you as an informational item within the board agenda.
There was something in there that I thought we should add students, but apparently I can't find it again, so never mind.
Okay. Well, if you think of it, you're welcome to call me or email me. Okay.
Thanks.
All right. You're at
114.
114, workers' compensation. We clarify that injuries must be reported as soon as possible, but no later than 24 hours, and that is the industry standard. It also specifies that the C1 form must be completed within 7 days of incident or injury. BP 115, social networking, social media. We added that the district has a duty to protect itself and students from misuse of district authorized accounts. It states that the district will not require passwords for personal accounts unless permitted by law. Okay, going forward here, two more. BP 116, officials and employees, fiscal code of ethics. With this policy, we included domestic partner in the definition of immediate family or conflict of interest purposes. It also added a 5 business day deadline for reporting suspected illegal or unethical acts. And just for your awareness, we do have, I think it's called the Secret Witness Program. We do have all of that posted at the district office, and I believe it's in our staff lounges as well.
You mean Safe Voice?
No, there's a different program called Secret Witness where people can anonymously report these types of things.
Oh, okay.
Safe Voice is more the bullying aspect.
Oh.
Yeah. BP 117, final policy here. This is non-discrimination on the basis of sex under Title IX. We added language extending the policy to off-campus and online environments. It does clarify that retaliation is a standalone violation and specified that the preponderance of the evidence standard will be used for all formal complaints. However, I do want to point out that free speech can never be seen as an act of retaliation. People always have their ability and can maintain their right for free speech.
All right. Thank you very much.
Any other changes besides what was noted by the board during the reading? Okay, thank you.
All right, we will move on to agenda item number 17, board reports. Susan, would you like to start us off?
This is the third year I attended the Shark Tank in Mr. TG's room. Was the students present business ideas and they try to sell it to the judges, and there were 5 judges, and it was so impressive the things that the students came up with, their ideas, their creativity, their follow through. It was just amazing. Every year I like it more. It's really, really fun. So that was April 1st and 2nd. And then I just wanted to go every month. I try to go over something from the Department of Education, one of the meetings that they had. And in the safety meeting, they were talking mostly about the Safe Voice update and report and the Office of Emergency Management concurrence report. So and this meeting isn't even in, I would have listened to it, but it's not until next Wednesday. So I'll listen to it then. They always have it online, as well as going to the Carson City to their building. So that's all I have. Thanks.
Ms. Knighting?
I attended the Health Advisory Committee meeting. Everything from that I needed to discuss was discussed at the professional development meeting for the insurance on April 7th, which I also attended, but it just stemmed from that. Right now we are still spending more in that than we are bringing in revenue. So, but the district is aware and we're working on that. I attended the National Junior Honor Society induction ceremony at Powaloo, and I attended the Advisory Technical Skills Committee. And, I was so impressed with our CTE programs at the high school and everything that students are accomplishing. I attended the NASB meeting in Reno on March 21st. This was on school safety and on setting legislative priorities. And I've attended several track meets, and I helped with the Little George and Big George track meets that are held at Douglas. And I'm just always impressed with our student athletes and the camaraderie they have and all the effort that went into those 2 track meets with our coaches, with the administration, with our staff, and with our volunteers. It's a big deal to host those.
Thank you. Ms. Miller?
I also attended the NASB training last month. I also was online for the CLGF meeting. I also attended the health insurance meeting. chamber isn't for 2 more weeks. And then on Saturday, I will be attending our culinary dinner here in this very room.
Ms. Jackson.
I visited Whittle and got to see the fire science program and all the great equipment they have and the different things they're able to do there. And that was really exciting. I enjoyed that. I hope we're able to get that program to grow and to get more students involved in it. I attended the CFO interviews and I'm excited for our new CFO. And maybe that means we'll have a budget meeting. And so I can finally attend a meeting that I'm supposed to go to. I did go to the NASB training in Reno and I went to the CTE meeting, the advisory, whatever Melinda said. I'm like, I don't know what it's called. But I was neat to hear of the different ideas that they're looking at for future classes. And then, and also to hear of the grants that they work hard to get so that we can have these programs. And even when we're having trouble with our general fund. I also attended the health insurance meeting. And then, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, Jillian Wagner, our youth legislator, had a town hall. And I thought that was really neat. And so I'm excited for Jocelyn to share some details on that for us.
Mr. Zinke.
So there was no chamber meeting. Those are quarterly now, so I won't do those every meeting. I got the pleasure of coaching the boys team on Monday at the Reno event. And Mason Peck from Douglas shot a 76, took second place. So that was great. The rest of our team, boys, I know you're not listening, but we need to pick it up. And then I went to all the track events, but self-serving as my daughter is running. So that's all I got.
Thank you. Mr. Brady.
As the superintendent mentioned, I attended negotiation meetings on one meeting and got kicked out of another. Beyond that, I went to Miss Lamb and Miss Dedsman's leadership class and spoke to them, part of which was about coping skills in the 3 baskets. I always enjoy that.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I had the opportunity to attend our NASB training, the CLGF meeting. I went to the SBAC kickoff at MES, which was really awesome to watch all those kids get excited about taking the SBAC test. That was pretty cool. I think we should do that every school. Might increase our numbers if they look at it and view that test just a little bit different. The Advisory Technical Skills Committee meeting, that's what it's called. Yeah, it's kind of a mouthful. But I mirror what Ms. Jackson said. It was pretty cool listening to all the grants they go after and the opportunities that they're going after for our kids, which is really awesome. I participated in the second round CFO interviews, attended the health insurance professional development. I have been to all but one dive meet, and that's self-serving because my daughter's on the dive team. But we don't have very many students that participate in dive. It's a dying sport. And so my plug-in for dive. And then I also had the opportunity to attend the town hall at DHS with our students. And that was pretty cool watching a student that I had at Pinion Hills is now a youth legislator and writing a bill. Like she was gathering information to write this bill that's coming up for next year. And it was really neat to see how much she'd grown. And I just kind of brought a little tear to my eye. And that is what we've been doing. I do know that Aaron and I are headed next week to Vegas for the second half of the NASB training. Is it 2 weeks? It'll be here before you know it. So, all right. And that takes us into agenda item number 18. Oh, Mr. Brady.
I forgot one thing. Next week, Mr. Alvarado, myself, and you have been invited to the Business Council of Douglas County to give them an update on pupil-centered funding and where we're at financially.
Okay, thank you.
All right, time for my report. I'd like to add, Mr. Brady, you did forget that you and I attended the chamber luncheon in which we did share information regarding the pupil-centered funding plan and recommended, to our constituents that they advocate for change that will benefit us, but also other rural districts in the state of Nevada. And we'll replicate that at next week's business meeting as well. So I've had the opportunity to go to MES SPAC kickoff. You're right. That was a fun event. It was great to see kids excited to take an assessment. Mr. Fromdahl did a great job of, telling kids why we do these assessments, why they need to, give their best selves to this assessment, so that they can make progress, show their progress annually. I've met with the CLGF a couple Fridays ago. Provided them an update on our cash books and discussed how we are paying our bills currently. They do understand that we have to use the all funds, but we've also been notified and I've discussed this with Ms. Jackson and Mr. Brady in our 2-on-1 meeting that we missed a payment from NDE. And I reached out to NDE to figure out when we're going to get that PCFP payment. That's a lot of money, over $4 million. Waiting for a response back. Hopefully I get that soon and I will forward the response to the board. Typically we do get all of our payments, so I don't question whether we will get it. It's just a matter of timing of when it will come into our books. I attended and supported Mrs. Dwyer in negotiations with our certified group and our bus driver group. We are making progress. Hopefully in May we can bring a tentative agreement. If that's not possible, then obviously we'll try to bring it in June. But definitely trying to find a compromise with our employees to make sure that we can get out of a deficit. I attended the CVMS choir dress rehearsal before they went out to Fallon for competition. I still haven't heard how they placed in that competition, but that was a fun event. Kids sounded great. That was also self-serving, as my son is on the CVMS choir, but it's always fun to watch kids engage in the arts and do their absolute best. I attended the GS Young Authors event. This event was great, well attended by parents. All of our first graders wrote a book. They provided an explanation of their book and then discussed what they're going to write about in the future. And I learned that this program has grown from 1 classroom to 17 classrooms across the district. That's great to see. Writing sometimes is a non-preferred activity for kids. And so fostering the joy and love of writing at this young age, I think will benefit them in life. I facilitated a stakeholder input for the GES principal position. I met with staff. I met with parents. We are planning interviews for the first part of May. And I hope to bring a recommendation to the board at the regular meeting in May so that we can identify who will be the next leader at the Gardnerville Elementary School. Last night I went to Douglas Lodge number 12 and spoke on behalf of the district and talked about what the future of the district could look like and talked about some of the things we've accomplished in my 1 3/4 years here so far. That was an interesting event. I had a good time. And I also attended the Nevada Youth Legislator Town Hall. I just want to highlight one topic that was brought up by students. They did bring up universal meals for all students, no matter what their background is. And students shared, it's hard to learn when you're hungry, right? And I think that was the sentiment and a takeaway for our youth legislator. And maybe that'll be the BDR that is submitted, but that can be positive for all kids, in the state of Nevada. I attended the special meeting for professional learning on health insurance. And so we learned a lot about, self-insured programs, fully funded programs, as well as stop loss. And I know the board's going to be tasked with making a decision on the future of our program here. And I'm confident that, you have the background you need to make a sound decision for everybody. Coming up on April 28th, the board will receive an invitation. We have the LCB who's requested to do a tour of our school sites. The LCB is the body who helps decide what school funding looks like. And so 3 representatives are coming down here. We're going to be touring 5 schools. You're welcome to join us. We'll have, I think, 4 seats available on a Suburban. So first 4 takers can carpool. If the other 3 want to drive themselves, you're all welcome to attend with me. We'll send that schedule out tomorrow to all of you. I met recently with Mr. Ryan, an interim chief at Tahoe Douglas Fire, to discuss the sustainability of the fire science program. We're currently negotiating an education service agreement. That item was pulled from this agenda. Right now, it is under legal review in Lake Tahoe Unified. Our legal did prepare that agreement. We're waiting for their review to come back to us, so that way we can bring a final document to the board for approval. We had it on there just in case, we receive feedback and the board could discuss it, but we'll have to push that off to May. The hopes are that we can reserve 10 seats in that program, have a cost for those seats, and then take the revenue from those seats and put it back into the program. So now this can sustain the program for years to come, and we won't have to cut it. Right. Right now, the program doesn't cost us anything. We did receive a grant to purchase all of the equipment, and then Tahoe Douglas Fire does provide us an instructor at no charge, but we do have an employee that's in the classroom supervising kids. So let's see here. Last item, today I visited Douglas High School and I visited 3 freshman seminar classes. It was great to learn about what happens in freshman seminar. What students told me is they learn about the Douglas Way. The Douglas Way is something that they can carry and practice throughout their time at Douglas High School, but it's also something that they can carry off into life with them to be the best possible person that they can. Students shared they really enjoy the time that they have to complete their assignments. As I was entering the room, teachers were preparing students to send out an email to other teachers or to their parents, providing an update on their academic progress. It was really cool to see that kids are communicating to their parents about that. And I can tell you it was unanimous. Kids said, I'm really benefiting from this class. There was one student in each class that says I have a 4.0, but they still saw the class as beneficial for them. And really life-changing, right? When you're able to stay ahead on your coursework, maintain all of your graduation requirements, things just get easier for students as they progress up into the upper class level. I did ask the students whether if we offered this course in their sophomore, junior, or senior year, if they would take it. And that was about a 50-50 split. Some kids said, yes, I would absolutely take this every single year. So that I can make sure that I graduate from Douglas High School. So just thought I would share that information with the board. I know there had been some discussion about setting criteria, but the things that the kids are learning in that class, are helping them to be better people, better citizens, and they can carry that knowledge off into the world with them. So that does conclude my update. And if you don't mind, I'll roll right into the informational items. So in the informational items here, we have donations up at the top. And so for student nutrition program, they received 2 donations for Angel accounts. Jason Szymanski donated a $100 transfer from a student account to GES, and Jackie Barnes $20.10 transfer from a student account to DHS. George Whittel received $1,000 for the Alice McCracken Scholarship Fund. MES received donations for their 4th grade expeditionary studies program supporting science and social studies standards. Brandon and Stephanie Griffith donated $300. Joshua and Wendy Lang $100. Morgan and Norma Chappelle $2,200. Lynette Loratig $500. GES was the recipient of $500 from Carson Valley Arts Council for the Missoula Children's Theater. $2,000 from CVI for the Principal's Discretionary Fund, $1,000 from Carson Valley Sertoma for a book vending machine and literacy library books. CVMS was the recipient of parent donations of food for wrestling tournaments and snack bar, snacks for sports teams donated by Backpack Buddies, multiple families donated books to the library, Rotary Club donated $600 to keep Hope Squad running for another year. Lucas Whitmore donated $700 to the culinary program. Heavenly donated sweatshirts, Nature Valley bars, water pouches, t-shirts, and some hats. Innovations, they provided donations for students to supply classroom needs. Andrew Parrish received an $850 donation from a Rotary grant for his art program. Pinion Hills Elementary School received $300 for a memorial tree. Some fundraisers, Zephyr Cove and Wattel held a canned soup drive to support the Backpack Buddies program. CVMS held a food drive in March on behalf of the Backpack Buddy program. Pinion received $2,000 from Carson Valley Inn. And now that moves us to enrollment counts. And so on our enrollment counts, you'll see that we have 54 less students from this time period last year. If you see that number keeps getting smaller and smaller, I hope it shifts into the positive, and we can report that we're actually going the other way and bringing in additional revenue into our district. And then the final items are just for everybody's awareness. We did post graduation and promotion dates for elementary and secondary, and we eliminated contingency days for April 17th and May 22nd. We've asked everybody to hold June 5th just in case we get, a power outage or possibly a late snowstorm, which I doubt is going to happen this year. So, and I think Trustee Miller just jinxed us. Yeah.
Now it's not going to snow.
The report says that we're supposed to get snow Saturday into Sunday, but we'll see what actually happens.
I don't trust the weather report sometimes, most times.
In regards to your end of the year graduations and promotions, there was a bit of a typo for Wattel.
Yeah, I think that was an autocorrect.
Maloff Field,
Yeah.
not Mala Field.
Yeah, so that was a copy and paste from the webpage.
Love
And
autocorrect.
so Renee emailed Haley Sebahar to see if we can get it corrected on the webpage, and then we will repost it. So
Thank you.
yeah.
I thought I was trying to figure out where the mall was.
Autocorrect.
Yes, Renee.
All right. And at that, we are at agenda item number 20, and the meeting is adjourned.